Good thing we passed that around now.
Exactly. We all take our turns.
Yeah, right, yeah. Approve or amend the agenda?
Mr. Chair, we have one consent item to add, the tobacco license on the dais there as consent item number 10. The next one to be a regular item, and please, let's add it after the 905-4H item. This is the Sauk Rapids TIF district item that's on the dais too. Again, let's add that right after 905, after the 4H group is here.
Okay,
Move for approval of the amended agenda, Mr. Chair.
Second.
motion been made and seconded to approve the amended agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. County board meetings are broadcast live and video recorded on YouTube. Please refrain from speaking from the audience area and come to the podium so that viewers can hear you. The county board observes the Roberts Rules of Order for its meetings, so please obtain the county board's chair consent before addressing the county board. Public comments are generally observed for open forum segment. However, public comments on agenda items may be allowed at the discretion of the chair. As we begin today, please turn your phone to off or to vibrate. Thank you. Open forum?
Thank you, Beth.
Mike Lewandowski from Alberta Township.
Morning.
Morning.
Mr. Chairman, I'm here just for a couple of things. A question, first of all, for the work site across the street, some sensitive work it looked like was taking place over the last several days, weeks. The middle of the site, yellow caution tape. Yellow caution tape was up.
Folks, if you're online, could you mute yourself, please? Thank you.
And I'm sorry, Mike Lewandowski here, Alberta Township. Anyway, so that section in the middle of the work site, is there any updates that you can provide anybody of the board or county administrator as to what was going on with that, the dirt that was taken out? If there was an issue, what was the issue? Where did the soil go that they took out? And was that issue within the budget of the contract for the site manager?
So, Mr. Chair, I would suggest that we get a thorough update from Pete from Integrity on September 23rd. Pete will be here scheduled for his monthly update on the 23rd, and then he can provide all the information as requested.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. That's at a regular board meeting, correct?
Correct.
Yep.
Yep.
And then the last thing, over the last many weeks, months, there's been discussion from a few on the board that there's been harassment and even threats by some in the public. And so I'm wondering today if there's anyone that can comment, if there's anything that's releasable to the public as far as a criminal complaint or an actual arrest, something that can be given to the public. I'm not looking for investigative details, just what can be released to the public.
Monty, is that something the county attorney would have to?
Yeah, I would recommend contacting Kathleen Reuter, and then she can provide the requested information. She'd be in possession of that, yeah.
Mr. Chair, if I could, Mr. Lewandowski, I will confirm with you that yes, indeed, that's happened, and it's happened to me. And I'm not interested in releasing one iota of information to you or anybody else, period.
Okay?
Want the public information? Check the county attorney's office.
Yes.
Well, I doubt the county attorney has it because it's going to be a conflict, but I'll check.
That could be, but you're
Surrounding
not
county
getting it from me.
I would imagine Kathleen can then refer Mike to the proper authorities who would have public information on this issue. So she's a good place to start.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
I will start with the county attorney. And it's just a matter of trying to find out what was actually done, what was said, to keep the public informed, to find out what was done, what the elected officials here today are going through. And so that's why I'm trying to find out. Thank you.
All right, thanks. Ann Olson. Welcome. Have you recovered from the county fair?
No, I have not recovered yet,
Oh, yeah.
but
We didn't do the consent.
Did we do the consent agenda? Nope. Oh, we got to do the consent agenda.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
One second.
Hang on a minute.
Hang on a
You
minute.
can stay right there.
Yeah,
I'll stay here. Okay.
we have consent agendas 1 through 10.
I'll move approval.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded to approve items 1 through 10. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thanks, Steve.
There we go.
Now, Ann, you can.
All right.
Yep.
So, no, I really haven't recovered yet because from County Fair, we went right on to State Fair. And if any of you watch us on our social media, you'll see that the kids have been doing amazing down at the State Fair. But I'm Ann Olson. I'm the extension educator for 4-H. And I brought along a bunch of my kids with me just to do our traditional annual asking for the proclamation sign to identify National 4-H Week or Benton County 4-H Week coming up October 5th to the 11th. But just a few updates on our program. It's been a really good year for us. We have over 550 kids enrolled right now in 4-H from all over, not just Benton County, but it goes beyond that because we are amazing. So people keep coming from other areas to join us. We have 13 active clubs, 157 screen volunteers. That doesn't even account for all the volunteers we have that are not screened. This past year, we've had about 171 new members. A lot of that has to do with our day camps. We had phenomenal day camps this last year with farm safety. And with that alone, we had a lot of businesses that joined in with us through the community, including the fire departments in Arnold's and the Farm Bureau. We had averaged 100 kids each of our day camps, and we held 6 of them. And we had to cut them off at some point or another because even with 24 to 25 youth camp counselors, which many are in the room, we still couldn't really take more kids than that. For County Fair, we had 346 youth participate, which was a big number. We had animals up, 593 animals were there, so it was up over 100 animals from the year prior, of which part of that had to do with some of our horses and miniature horses. We had 17 miniature horses this year, which was incredible. We had a group that came to us, and they're going to be speaking to you as well. We had over 1,000 livestock exhibits and almost 1,200 general exhibits. For State Fair, we had 130 youth head off to State Fair between livestock and general llama, horse. The horse and dog are still going and shooting sports. We had at the State Fair, like I said, like I already alluded to, was insanely successful. And typically on our social media, we'll put like our first and second places and maybe the third. Well, this year I had to go to fourth and fifth because there were so many siblings in there. I think I stopped at fourth. I did not go to fifth, which I'm getting some heat for that. But even with just champions, reserves, and seconds and thirds, or thirds and fourths, it was busy. Every species had it. We had the champion Black Ignis heifer, Nolan Hackett brought that in. We had a reserve champion crossbred cow from Braid Mouse. We had Austin Molitor brought in the reserve champion Berkshire Barrel, and he also was one of the candidates for the Purple Ribbon auction there as well. We had the champion Junior Doe. That list goes on and on. Our rabbits were amazing too. We have 7 kids going to State Horse this weekend, and we have 11 miniatures going, 5 dog. For our llama, again, they just shine like crazy. We had the first, second, and third in the state for the costume contest, and also the first and second in the state for educational posters in both age categories, and first, second, third, 5, 6 in showmanship for llama. So brag, 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 and brag. So now let's break some more. I don't know if you guys got a copy of this. It shows our detailed numbers. This is just a little, those of you who are not on the CEC, I'm sorry that you don't get to see everything. But I'm giving you a sneak peek of our county fair report along with some photos of just some of the kids from the state fair. And then on the top of that was the National 4-H Week. So I'm just going to have a few of the kids. Actually, I got a little bundle here of some kids that were able to take the time today to be here just to share a little bit about what 4-H has been to them. So you have the Kolbingers. Would you guys go first? Okay, so I got Ava and Piper Kolbinger.
Good morning.
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 My name is Ava Kolbinger. I'm starting my 11th year in 4-H this year. Benton County was extremely well attended, and it was really fun to see all of the people and then be able to explain different horses and what they do and all of that fun stuff at the fair.
Hi, I'm Piper, and I've been in 4-H for 7 years, and it was really, really fun because there were so many people, and we made tons of new friends moving to a new county. And overall, Benton was really, really, really fun.
So we did have about, oh gosh, close to 20 some people that joined us from different counties this year that really helped increase that miniature horse. And you guys remember Claudia? She was my summer assistant.
Hi, my name's Claudia. I'm going to be an 11th grader actually tomorrow. And, and this will be, I just finished my 8th year in 4-H. Like she just said, I was a summer assistant this year, and I've been heavily involved in 4-H for the last 8 years. I've shown countless species of livestock, including just came back from the state fair for llama, and I've shown ducks, rabbits, just started showing sheep this year. So I've been heavily involved, and I've been involved as a camp counselor for a couple years, and it's been one of the most impactful organizations that I've ever been involved with, and I am a very, very busy person, so I'm involved with a lot of things, and it's definitely tops my list of the most important and impactful thing in my schedule.
Thank you. Which school?
Tech High School.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, I'm Jonathan. I've been in 4-H for 12-ish years now. Benton County 4-H and 4-H in general has been hugely impactful in my life. It has given me a ton of leader experience helping out at the day camps and leading some of the activities at the day camps. For example, at a recent project day camp, I led a welding project showing the kids how to weld and having them weld their own small little light up bug that lights up in the dark as a nightlight. For projects, this year I didn't bring as many as some previous years, but I brought a few photos, and my main big project was a display board talking about the social and emotional side effects that occur with having food restrictions like food allergies or food intolerances, and how they affect especially youth in group settings. 4-H was kind enough to let me give a presentation on the project at the Benton County 4-H Leaders Council meeting, and it helped me stand in front of people, talk to people about what's important to me, and spread awareness of an issue that challenges me personally with my food restrictions.
Thank you.
And Jonathan won't brag about himself, but he was one of the many that received a Blue Ribbon, plus he received one of the Community Impact Recognition Awards, and they're not, Oh, and the purples, yes, the purples and Community Impact Awards. So that was insane, just to have people from our own county there too for that.
That was on display at the state fair, correct? Yeah, I seen it. I seen that. Yep.
Say your name. It's something I have fun with at the state fair.
Wait, I don't really like saying my
That's okay. This is Matthew, our singer.
name. I like saying in like what name I use for when I'm playing games.
Yeah. What did you do at the state fair?
I did Share the Fun.
And did you like
Share
it?
the fun,
I
okay.
liked it.
Yeah.
We had a big group like
Thank
these
you.
kids were included with this Share the Fun. It was really cool to get up on the big stage. Right. Yeah.
You're next, yeah.
Hello, I am Robert. I have been in 4-H 9 years, and I'm going into 9th grade.
Nice.
Nice.
I brought some almond flour muffins to the state fair, which is because way too many members of my family have way too many food restrictions. And I wanted to make something as one of my first ventures into baking to get around that.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Robert.
I like your hat.
This is the McKay family.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Owen McKay. I was in 4-H for 5 years, and I'm in St. Pat's 4-H Club, and this year I showed chickens and static projects. I won in some of the static projects area. I won in showmanship for chickens, and I got a blue ribbon for showing a hobby for chickens. And I love how all the staff are really kind in 4-H, and I really like 4-H, so I recommend it to all my friends. And I think 4-H is just a great experience.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Luke McKay. I've been in 4-H for 5 years, and something I really enjoyed this year is showing goats. My club members let me show their goats because they had an extra one, and I just had like a really great time showing it, and I want everybody else to have the same experience I did, and I hope that that just like it goes great, even though I didn't really win, but I did the 4-H lunch stand this year, and I worked the ice cream booth. It's called the Little Red Barn, and
Okay.
it's just a great way to make friends and everything. And I just hope that we can just keep on doing the county fair because it's awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Eve McKay, and I have been involved with 4-H for about 5 years. I would say that before joining 4-H, I really didn't understand the impact and value of leadership. And then once I joined 4-H and became an ambassador, I really started to learn how important leadership skills were. And not only did I learn teaching young children, but I learned to teach to peers, which were kids like my own age, which before that was honestly kind of terrifying, and then to even adults. And I just want to thank Benton County for these skills that I know that I will have with me for my entire life.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Anna McKay. I've been in 4-H for 5 years, and I showed my chickens at the Benton County Fair this year. And at the
Typical
Okay.
Ann.
Yeah.
I had an amazing judge who really helped me show how chickens are shown and how to care for them. And because of all the wonderful people in 4-H and because of my judge, I was able to take it to the state fair for the very first time. And it was so much fun and filled with a really great learning experience.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You did a good job, too. Aw, aren't they wonderful? Okay, don't we read the national
Yep.
thing?
go
All right.
ahead.
Thanks, guys, for the bravery. All right, so Benton County 4-H Week proclamation, whereas 4-H is America's largest youth development organization, having supported almost 6 million youth across the county thus far, whereas 4-H has helped 492 youth this past year in Benton County to become confident, independent, resilient, and compassionate leaders, whereas 4-H is delivered by a cooperative extension, a community of more than 100 public universities across the nation that provides experiences where youth learn by using hands-on projects in areas including health, science, agriculture, and citizenship. And whereas National 4-H Week showcases the incredible experiences that 4-H offers young people and highlights the remarkable 4-H youth in Benton County who work each day to make a positive impact on those around them. And whereas 4-H network 600,000 volunteers and 3,500 professional provides care and supportive mentoring to all 4-Hers, helping them to grow into true leaders, entrepreneurs, and visionaries. Therefore, we, the Board of Benton County Commissioners, do hereby proclaim October 5th to the 11th, 2025 as 4-H Week throughout Benton County and encourage all of our citizens to recognize 4-H for the significant impact it has made and continues to make by empowering youth with the skills they need to lead for a lifetime.
So move, Mr. Chair.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to proclaim October 5th to the 11th of 2025 National 4-H Week. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. And I will have to say that I had some time on Wednesday. We had an AMC extension, and I went through the first time in a number of years, I went through the exhibits on the second floor. And I was amazed at how many Benton counties, I seen the muffins. I did, just out of pure luck. I was, going by and I was looking, whose county to basically look for. And I was totally amazed at how many Benton County people were in the exhibit building, something that we probably haven't seen for a number of years.
It's been a number,
As it keeps
yeah.
growing.
It actually has been, when I first came, there's maybe 18 or 19 that would
Yeah.
go down for
Yeah.
general.
And you could find many, you know,
this
the
last year
food
was
allergy ones was a
56.
big one. It was
Yeah.
on like a bulletin board out there.
Yep, that was
Yep.
food allergies or, yeah.
So,
And his food allergy, when he did it for the Leaders Council, he had people waiting and talking to him at the end for a long time, to the point where I finally just said, you guys are safe, I'm leaving now.
Okay.
Because they had a lot of questions, so very important information was given out there.
all right.
I think it's fair to say every time we go to an AMC conference,
Yeah.
4-H in Benton County is
Benton
always
County's
brought
in.
up.
Yeah, I was
Oh, that's
with,
good to hear.
Yeah.
I was with the commissioner from Dakota County and we were walking, and he goes, wow, he said, Benton County's got a lot here, and Dakota County, you know, population is a lot larger.
Yeah.
But their 4-H is, they got a great 4-H program, but probably not as good as ours right now. So,
And we are pretty much the ball.
yeah.
Can we get a picture or can we
so
get
thank you for what you do.
Congratulations, everybody.
Congratulations,
Thank
thank you.
a picture?
They want to
Yeah, they want a picture.
All right.
Can we do that picture now and?
Yeah, oh, sure.
There, will you take the picture? That means all you guys are. Sorry, everyone else. A quick picture. Yep. We'll let them guys stand up on the ledge so you guys are higher than us. So Jonathan, you might have to, Claudia, let's come this way, Jonathan's gonna go over that side. And Robert too. Yeah. Put Robert and John, yeah, we think guys do a little cute squat bend that we do. Yeah.
We're missing Tim too.
There you go. And then, yeah, just do a little bit of a squat, just put the other. Oh, no, not, you stand. Usually, usually I'm in the front telling them what to do. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you
All right,
guys for what you do.
Thank you for letting us. Good job, guys.
Used to it, don't even feel it anymore.
Walked right up to it though.
Coming back for more.
That's the next one.
Yep. So, Sock Rabbits, the TIF.
All yours, Todd.
Well, first of all, thank you very much, board members, for being willing to add this to your agenda. Originally, we had planned on bringing this to the county board next Monday, and we just found out late last week that there isn't going to be a county board meeting next Monday, so we were scrambling last week. By state law, for what we're asking or what we're planning on doing here in the city, before the city of Sauk Rapids can consider it, the county and the school district have to consider it first. And so we had already advertised our public hearing notifications for the 22nd of September, and we found out late last Thursday that that wasn't going to work. And so we were either going to have to re-advertise or somehow change that public hearing notice. So appreciate the board being willing to consider this very much this morning. So just a little background on the project. What this is a 76-unit market rate apartment. This would be located on Mayhew Lake Road, kind of right across Mayhew Lake Road from the new truck garages that are getting constructed in the industrial park by Gary Posch.
This is the one that's been going on for quite some time, correct?
Yeah, this is actually something that the city approved, I think in 2005 or 2006, along with the residential development that happened there. We've been working, I guess, quite extensively over the last 5 or 6 years with a local developer to try to make a project work on this property, and they just couldn't do it. They just couldn't get the rate of return with TIF and fee reductions to ultimately get to a rate of return that they were comfortable with. So recently, earlier this year, they sold the property to a developer from the Greater Baxter area. This developer has more typically been in the single-family residential realm of things, not so much in the multifamily realm of things. But earlier this year, he built his first apartment in Becker, and then purchased his property to do his second project related to multifamily. When he first came to the city, he was requesting a lot of assistance, a lot of public assistance to make the project work. Put together a pro forma for us that we had reviewed by our financial consultants, Elders and Associates. And after reviewing their pro forma, they believe that the project does work with 8 years of TIF. It does not give him an unreasonable rate of return, and in fact, his rate of return is a little over 8%. And I can say that I've been with the city 23 years. 23 years ago, there's nobody that had done an apartment project for a return of a little over 8%. But that's how things have changed over the years. If you want to do residential, you have to be willing to have a much less rate of return than what used to be the norm. So what we're asking you, well, and also then one other point with this project. This is a market rate housing project. Traditionally, you cannot use tax increment financing for market rate housing. But last year, the legislature passed new legislation that does allow, and it's actually called workforce housing. It does allow for multifamily market rate housing to use tax increment financing if it can be defined as workforce housing, which is what we're doing here. But there are a couple other hurdles that we have to overcome to call it workforce housing. One, we have to demonstrate that there is a vacancy rate within, I believe it's a 20-mile radius of the project of less than 3% in apartment buildings, and we've been able to demonstrate that. The second thing is we have to have a letter from a local employer saying or stating that there is in fact a need for workforce housing in the area, and I think most of us realize that, and that shouldn't be too difficult. And then the last thing is, typically when cities use tax increment financing, the city doesn't have to go to the county and the school district asking for approval. Typically, the only thing that we have to do at that point is we have to go to the county board and the school district if we're asking them in terms of timing to what's called waive fiscal disparities. And that's essentially a 30-day comment period that counties and school districts get to inform the city if they believe that there's going to be some additional costs that the city should be aware of relative to the project. In this particular case, we're asking the county board to waive that 30-day fiscal disparities review like we typically do. But also one other thing, and that is the county in this case, because it's a workforce housing TIF plan, also has to approve the TIF plan. That's what's unique about workforce housing. So that's what we're asking you to consider this morning in the resolution that you have in front of you is a waiver of the fiscal disparities and then also approval of the TIF plan. So I'll entertain any questions that the board might have.
Any questions?
Mr. Chair,
Yeah.
Commissioner Heiner, Kapinski, you guys are aware this is the first I've seen it, so that's why I'm asking.
Mr. Chair, I wasn't aware of this, but I was aware of the project this has been going on for quite some time. And it's been a little tough to get off the ground. I know originally it was the driveways in and out of that up complex at one point, because it started where we weren't gonna let a driveway come in off of one, so we had to come in off the residential area.
Correct.
But from my and this is the only plot in this district, right?
Correct. This is the only one that could have an apartment building on it. And kind of a side note on that, Sauk Rapids is doing with apartments is a little bit unique. And I think Steve and Jared might be aware of this from their time at the city. When I started at Sauk Rapids about 23 years ago, the worst area in our town for police calls was essentially that Highway 15 corridor where we have a bunch of apartments. It's traditional with planning and zoning that you segregate uses together, right? You put commercial together, industrial together, single family together. And what we found over the years is that one of the problems with putting all of the apartments together is ultimately apartments change hands. Oftentimes they change hands right after they're constructed. Sometimes people will hold on to them until they're at the point of having to be maintained for the first time, having to invest in new carpeting and countertops and things like that, and then they'll switch hands. And what we've noticed over the years is that when you end up with one bad apartment owner that doesn't care about maintenance, doesn't care about who they rent to, it doesn't matter if the two apartments next to them care or not, because nobody will want to live in those apartments either. And then eventually that spreads to that entire apartment district. And you end up with a lot of problems. And so what we've done, recognizing that, is we spread apartments out over the city. We're not putting them all together. We're putting them in one residential neighborhood over here, another residential neighborhood over there. And so this is an example of that. This is something that we actually approved in 2005. And then right after the Great Recession. It was purchased by somebody that sat on the land. They were from Alaska, waiting for an opportunity to sell, and they sold it to a local developer here about 5 years ago. The local developer has built apartments in Sauk Rapids, but he just wasn't able to make his numbers work, or at least to the point that he was comfortable with his rate of return, and so he sold it to this person up in Brainerd at Baxter. I do apologize for the county board not getting a little bit more heads up on this. As I said, I thought that this was going to be coming to the county board next week. I had a meeting actually scheduled with Steve and Jared later today to talk about this, and actually a couple other projects that we have going on at Sauk Rapids. So I apologize for this coming to you guys a little bit cold.
Mr. Chair, is this a 9-year TIF is what I'm? Eight? Okay.
Yeah, workforce housing is an 8-year term.
And I think it's fair to say that the crime is still in that area where you mentioned earlier, so.
I live up by that area, and yes, you see it every day.
Well, that's probably why there's crime.
Yeah, right.
Well, it could be,
Mr. Chair, Todd, just to clarify, so I'm trying to follow the process here.
Yeah.
So typically, we would have seen this today for a move on it on the 20th, on our next board meeting, but because we moved our meeting to the 23rd, that would be after your meeting.
Correct.
That's why we're moving this thing up. So-
Correct.
I mean, again, it's not that I'm not supportive. One of the things on here says the board's reviewed and discussed the TIF plan. Well, we have now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
I
No,
just
I
want
do.
to make sure I'm understanding the timeline and the why.
Sure. Yep, no, understand. And you're correct.
Okay.
We would have been in front of you next week.
And we would have typically seen it anyways because we do have to sign off on it.
Correct.
Okay.
And from my standpoint, this is something that I'm in favor of because it's not like we have anything right now.
Right.
And if you look at anything that Sartell has done, they've all done in TIF district areas. Up until, that's how they built all of the medical areas and everything like that. It's one of these things that can start spurring development, especially with that corridor that we've been talking about on one.
Yeah.
It sounds like with this particular project, it can be used for workforce for the TIF.
Yep.
And that gives us market rate.
Yep.
And that's how it's designed and why it was designed that
Yeah.
for the TIF project. I'm sorry.
Yep, no, I'm done. Go ahead.
Mr. Schultz, how many TIF districts do you have left yet in Sauk Rapids?
Oh, Mr. Chair, that's a good question. This is our 26th TIF district over our history.
Right.
Not very many of them are open anymore, though.
No.
Okay.
4, 5, or 6, I would say, that we currently have open.
Yeah.
Okay.
I apologize, I can't answer
Oh,
that question.
didn't mean to
straight
put you on the
up.
spot, Todd, but.
And most of those are for commercial versus residential.
Correct.
That was my next question,
Yep.
if they were all apartments or commercial.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Mr. Chair, it is something that we hadn't really traditionally done, TIF apartment projects. And because of the statute, you can't do it for market rate, which is something that we tend to do a lot of in Sauk Rapids when we do apartments. We did do one during the Great Recession. There was a 2-year period where the legislature allowed cities to TIF really whatever they wanted. And so we did that large apartment project on Highway 10. That's, I guess, just a little bit south of the Golden Spike Road exit. That's a Torberg project, a very large project. And we TIF that to the full extent that we are allowed to by law to get that project off the ground. And it's either the first or second biggest taxpayer in the city right now. It's been a very successful project. We also did the one in the downtown that was a redevelopment TIF district. That also has been a very successful project, not just from the developer's perspective, but also from a taxing perspective for the local entities. We're doing very well with these projects. Our financial director has told me that within 4 to 5 years, this particular one that we're talking about today will be within our top 10 taxpayers in the city.
Okay.
I would move to approve or support the TIF district for the city of Sauk Rapids.
And waive
And
30-day period.
yeah, and waive the visitation or the period of response. Yep.
30 days. And I'll second that.
Okay, motion been made and seconded to approve the TIF district and to waive the 30-day
Comment period.
comment period.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Todd. I'll give you a call later. I gotta talk about the meeting.
Yeah, are we still gonna get together later?
That would be the plan. I
That'd
might
be-
have to
that's
do
the
it,
plan.
over phone because I got another appointment, but,
Okay, sounds
yep,
good.
thank you.
Thanks.
Sheriff Heck?
Morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
So I have a couple of contracts today for you that I've previewed in some previous presentations. We are seeking to change food vendors in the jail. This was spurred by some conversation we had earlier this year about the cost of that particular line item in the jail. So we had gone out and sought some new bids. After some lengthy negotiations, we have a couple of contracts that are ready to sign that would transition us from our current vendor of Summit Foods to our new vendor Skillet Kitchens on October 1st. So the contract amendment from Summit Foods, since we have been using them since February of 2025 under 2024 prices, that will bring the price that we'd be expected to reimburse Summit Foods for up to the 2025 rate. So there'll be some back pay that'll be done there, and that will end our relationship on October 1st with Summit Foods. And the Skillet contract picks up on October 1st at the much reduced rates that Skillet is asking of us, and that will continue for 3 years with options to extend each year annually. We anticipate this is going to save us at least $35,000 to $40,000 each year in food costs. Hopefully, it will be more than that.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
what do you see the difference? I mean, 35,000 a year is a lot of money.
Well, my suspicion is they are likely buying our business. I think that's a real possibility in that in subsequent years, the price will likely go up. However, we think the service that we're going to get from Skillet is going to be better than what we've seen from Summit lately. That they've had some struggles lately, and we've been going through those with them. We hope to have better service from Skillet, and if that also gives us the opportunity to save some money over the next 3-4 years, I think that's a win for the county.
Right.
It's $100 a day.
Yeah, you're right.
Mr. Chair, Sheriff, just so I'm clear, and I realize this is a next agenda item with Summit, but am I seeing that we'll save 35 grand with Skillet, but because of the back pay to Summit, it's going to be an additional 287?
Not an additional 287, a total of 287 for the 10 months.
10-month
For
period?
the eight or 9 months that we'll have Summit as our food vendor, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? I think, this has been coming back and forth over the years on how it's went up.
Yes.
And it's continually increased, so.
I'll move approval of the contract with Skillet Kitchens for the 3 years.
I'll second.
Motion been made and seconded to approve the contract with Skillet Kitchens for jail service for 3 years. All in favor?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Thank you for checking in on this. I know this is a topic every year because since I've been on the board, it's been going up, 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 and up.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we finally get something, whether they're buying our business or not, it's a way for us to reset that a little bit.
Better reprieve.
And try to lower costs as much as we
You
can
know,
too. through-
even if it comes later on with an increase, it's still probably gonna be
Yep.
lower than what we have.
Okay,
Thank you.
thanks. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
And so the next item just dovetails in, as I stated, we've approved the Skillet Kitchen contract, so now we need to approve the amendment that terminates our relationship with Summit.
Motion to approve the amendment with Summit.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded to approve the amendment with Summit Foods. Any other questions or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you,
Thanks, Troy.
Commissioners.
Maybe just thank Summit for all their work for us over the last years, even though they went up, it's just like everything goes up, so.
Yeah.
We may need them in the future.
Certainly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Monty.
As Mr. Chair, Jackie Trout as Benefits Advisory Committee Chair will take us through the next 3 items.
Morning, Jackie.
Morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning. As Monty mentioned, I'm here as the chair of the Benefits Advisory Committee. We've actually been working very closely with the culture team as well, and we've been very busy, so we kind of have a marathon of items here today, but I'm not doing it alone. The first agenda item that I have is regarding the the funding for 2026 for our health insurance. And Amy is here from Marsha McLennan Agency to give their recommendation on what our funding should be for 2026.
Jackie, I know Amy would like us to share screen. Can you do that, or would you like me to do that for you?
If you don't mind.
I will take care of it. Okay. I think she's got a PowerPoint, and if it, so, okay. All right, you are now the presenter, Amy.
Alrighty.
And if it doesn't work, we have the presentation here locally, so. Oh, you're good, we see it. Excellent.
All right.
It's a little loud, let me
Perfect.
turn it down just a little bit here. Let's see.
Well, thank you, members of the board, for allowing me to be in front of you again to share some updates that we've got. As Jackie mentioned, there's been a lot of activity this year, and I really have to commend the BAC and the Culture Committee for really diving into an employee survey that was taken a little over a year ago and taking all that feedback and really doing a lot of work on the employee benefit plans this year. So Jackie's going to go into that deeper. But what I will share with you is I want to give you a little bit of an overview on how the plan is currently running, and then our recommendation for the renewal. And then Jackie will go into some of the other pieces. We've really got good news this year. The Benton County plan is running very well, and particularly in comparison to what we're seeing overall market. This is some information that we go over monthly with the committee. One of the good advantages of being self-funded is you get to see live data and you get to see what's happening in the year as we go along. So there really aren't any surprises. And this year we have seen good things all along. So what you're looking, oops, sorry.
Amy, are you advancing through your presentation because it hasn't changed for us?
I am.
Okay, we sometimes have lag issues, so here's what we'll do is we'll switch to us and then we won't have the lag issue.
Okay, that sounds good. I will stop sharing then. Or can you just stop from your end?
We're on slide 2.
3.
Let's stick with it for a second here. You did.
Okay.
We already got out.
Get back in.
There it is.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, great. All right, so what you're looking at here is we're looking at year-to-date, and then the left column, or the column further over, the 2025 projected January through December, is how we're anticipating the year is going to end. And a couple of key things to call out here. The 74.4%, this is how you're running towards the funding coming from both employees and the county. To be at 74% with claims through July is a very good place to be. We know towards the end of the year, that number is going to go up because more of the deductibles and the out-of-pockets, the portions that the employees and the plan participants pay, have been satisfied. So the plan will begin to take on more of those costs. But as we look at this, a couple of things to notice right here, where you see carrier expected total costs and MMA expected total costs and actual. So carrier expected, this is where Blue Cross, as of right now, Blue Cross was thinking total plan costs would be run about 2.1 million. We were actually thinking they'd be at 2.2 million. You are running at 1.8 million. So a dramatic decrease from the last several years. And again, very good to see, but that's been really consistent. So we're very happy with that number. We've also been able to add about a little over $600,000 to the reserve. We anticipate we're going to dip into that a little bit as the year to just a little over 600,000. But we're projecting by the end of the year to be sitting at about 1.7 million. Our target is about 1.8, or an equivalent to 6 months in reserve. And a little bit of how we use that as a target. It's going to take about 3 months worth of claim dollars, or 3 months worth of reserve if we ever had to shut the plan down to pay out run-out claims. So that gives us a little cushion, equivalent to about 3 months, that if in years when we have really high increases, and we've had a couple of those, we can put some of the reserve at risk to bring down those increases. And again, one of our goals when Benton County first went self-funded was we want to try to level off any increases. We don't want steep increases followed by a big drop. We want to try to keep that to a rolling hill. And that's really where having that reserve balance has helped us. And over here in the blue box, these are just the current funding rates that your current plans have. So that's a little bit of how the plan overall is running. This is another piece that really tells a good story. This is going back 4 years, and we're looking year to date on what the PMPM claim trends. So that's per member per month. So every belly button, what are those costs looking like? And as of right now, we're down almost 30% to the previous years at $342. Last year, we were sitting at $484. And that leveled off a little bit to $463. So what that means is for every belly button per month, we are anticipating claim costs to be $342.33 every month for every person. So that's another really positive trend to see as we go into the underwriting phase. This is looking at, from our underwriters, of where they're looking at a claims or a funding need to fund to expected. And right now that's looking at 1%. Now expected means just to cover current claim costs, not looking at any price increases down the future, but just where our current claims are trending and our current fixed costs are looking like for 2026. You will notice up here we also have a 5% margin that we add on to the claim costs. That increases our likelihood of being correct, and I'm going to show you an illustration of that. We also use that if there are times we need to build a little bit more in the reserve. And as I had shown on the previous page, we anticipated we're going to be about $130,000 short of our 6-month target in our reserve. So we may want just a little bit more of a bump in there to give us better odds of accurately underwriting this. Now here is a good illustration. This light blue line, this is if we just fund at a 1% increase, we have a 56% chance of being accurate. So, 50% of the time we're going to underfund, 50% of the time we're going to overfund. Now, if our reserve is really healthy, we're pretty comfortable with having that margin. But by just increasing it 5%, that increases the accuracy to 78%. Now, again, as we started looking and having some really good discussions with both Monty and the board of what's happening within Benton County, we are coming to settle in on a recommendation of 3%. And we feel that the 3% will set Benton County up well into 2026 and potentially into 2027, where we're anticipating the collaborative as a whole, which Benton County participates, may have some higher fixed cost rates, particularly within stop loss, because we were not able at this time to secure a stop loss cap for Blue Cross Blue Shield. We are still making that request and trying to make our case. But that's why we feel the additional 2% above expected will really position the plan well. So 3% is our recommended increase. You're going to notice some other changes on this particular sheet that Jackie's going to go into. But for right now, I will stop and see if there are any questions that any of you have.
Any questions?
Mr. Chair, I remember just a couple of years ago, we were in tough shape on this. And that's where, I appreciate the 1% all the way up to, the 5%. I support the 3%, but I'm more comfortable with the 5% just for the fact that I would rather have a little more in there to go off of, because as we know, 1 year can set us back a long ways.
Well, coming back as long as we've been in this, I seen when we were really good, and then you know what happened. We've had some horrific claims, and we took it down to where we were when you came on.
Yeah.
So it does happen, but from my standpoint, it looks like you can kind of ride that out as we go. I think we did a great job. Sure, we had some pretty hefty increases, but you have to if you got them. And maybe employers are doing a better job out there, and, the employees are doing a better job as far as that goes too, so.
Well, and the insurance is there for when you need it.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So if people have claims that they paid for it and over the years, and they should have the right to that. But I'm almost wondering if that 5% would, instead of giving it more of a hump 2 years down the road, maybe it evens that out a little bit more.
I'm sorry,
Go
Mr.
ahead.
Chair, this is just a recommendation for
Yeah,
this
exactly.
upcoming year for
Yep.
3%, you
Yep.
know. We'll have another recommendation the following year if we have a
Mhm.
low or a high.
Amy, any thoughts on that conversation?
I tend to be conservative on this, and originally we were at 5% was our original tentative. And with some of the changes that the committee has made, and like I said, some discussions that were going on with maybe some other things that are happening within the county, I think that 3% is still a good recommendation. But you're absolutely correct. Does 5% give us more and potentially increase our likelihood that we're sitting even better? Yes, it is a really tight balancing act. And as of right now, we're only looking at 7 months worth of claims. If the year continues like it is right now, we'll be solid. If all of a sudden we start to see some spikes, it puts a little bit of some variability into it. But even finishing the year at 1.7 million, it's a good strong reserve. But I like the fact that you're remembering how this can go and are having that long-term outlook.
What?
Because I think that's very appropriate.
What would, on the average person, what would that extra 2% from 3 to 5 be? Is it,
Let me see.
$3, $5?
I'll quick look and see where we were sitting. Well, you know what, actually, sorry, I shouldn't have closed this down. We were, and it's the total cost, right now at a 1%, you're looking at about a $42,000 increase. If we did the 4.7, it would go up to a $200,000 increase between both the county and employees. And that's illustrated on slide 3.
Mr. Chair, do we only have, let's see, 2 questions. When will we review 25? Like right away in January, or when do we see those results? And secondly, do we only have one shot at this 3%? I mean, if you come back with a report in January, February, says, oh, this thing fell out of the water, can we raise it to 5 at that point, or do we only have one shot?
So at some point, the rates will become solidified in labor agreements. So it's more of a challenge to make changes once those agreements are settled.
Okay.
So are they changeable potentially? But you'd have to negotiate.
You'd have to go back to all your labor.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, this is more of a question for Jackie, as I know you've been working hard with the culture team. Would this be a game changer if we went to 5 versus a 3? I mean, you look at it, it solidifies the future, but yet it is an increase.
I don't think it would change any of our upcoming recommendations.
Okay.
Because initially like Amy said, her tentative recommendation to us was you were probably gonna have a 5% increase. And it wasn't until probably about a week ago that we found out that it was a 3%.
Okay.
And we haven't been negotiating with the unions on health insurance at all.
Okay.
So that could come into play if we went from 3
3
to
to
5,
5.
because we do 85%
Yeah.
of that cost. So it would be an added cost to the counties.
It makes sense to split the banana at 4
That's
and go to 4.
that's honestly where I was gonna go with the next one. I like that thought.
One thing to mention too, Mr. Chair, is that with the current funding level, we're still building reserves at a decent pace. Again, at the current funding level. So I think maybe that's where Amy's coming from, is that, why he thinks that 3% is good. Because even without that increase, we're building reserves now, right?
And we know that can turn around in a flash.
You know, one thing I would mention, I know we did have some really bad years, and one of the reasons is there was a catastrophic case which was, quote, lasered out, and the reinsurance did not pay it. We were just paying dollar for dollar out of our fund, and that was one big reason why our reserves plummeted so much. And I believe the laser concept is a thing of the past. Is that correct, Amy?
That is correct. We do not have that in our contract.
Yeah.
Across the
So that was, again, a very catastrophic case, which reinsurance did not cover.
Then it makes sense then it makes sense why it's only 3%.
You know, at 3%, and I look at it, we still could build reserves to 1.8, 1.9 by next year.
Yeah, but as we know, health care or health insurance, the premiums keep going up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we gotta make sure we're keeping up with that and it's not dipping back into the reserves. And like I said, a couple of claims, well, now we got the reinsurance too, so.
And some perspective, right now from what we're seeing in the marketplace and we're seeing with our other clients, anything under 10% is a really good renewal this year. I would say more of the averages are coming in between 15 and 25, particularly under the fully insured groups. So it has been a tough year on health insurance. So Benton County is doing very well, probably comparative to a lot of your other neighboring counties or employers.
And would you say that last year it was not nearly this for the other counties?
Last year was a little bit tougher. Benton, again, has had a good renewal last year. So we've had 2 very consistent years of claim costs. And we've also seen a steady drop in high cases. Now, you can often say this has been very steady, so we could anticipate, a little bit more going up, but that's also factored into the underwriting. The underwriting is really based on Benton County's claims. And some of those years that were very high cost are factored in there. Last year when we saw claims 30% higher than we're seeing them right now, that experience is factored into this renewal calculation.
I still like the 4%.
Well, and talking about perspective, it puts us in a unique perspective to be able to potentially build our fund reserves up a titch higher.
Yeah.
We're that much lower than the average, right? So
It allows us, when we do have that 10 or 12% increase, to go down to that 8%.
Probably right.
It's my favorite saying, it's a gift that keeps giving.
Yeah.
Until it doesn't.
I don't know about health insurance, if that qualifies.
Yeah.
So this is an action item, I take it?
It is, yeah. We look to consider the recommendation from MMA, and then those are the rates that we take into labor negotiations, and which we would then adopt for our non-union employees as of January 1st. So
Mr. Chair, Monty, can I put you on the spot? Are you opposed to a 4%?
I don't think it's necessary. I think 3% is completely adequate. Again, looking at how we're building reserves at a good clip, we're getting quite close to our reserve target. I think 3% is totally adequate, yeah.
And I think,
So-
I take into consideration, Monty's been here from day one when we
Yeah.
started the self deal, so.
I'll move for the 3% then, increase.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded to approve the 3% increase in health insurance for 2025. Any other discussion?
2026.
2026, I'm sorry. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you, Amy.
Thank you, Amy.
All right, moving on, we have several changes that we're recommending as the BAC that we make to our health insurance plan. So on the agenda item, I kind of broke them out into 3 different categories. The first one is we would like to add a new high deductible option. So currently, we have the $3,300 deductible HSA and the 6,000 family, and then for VIBA it's 3,000, 6,000. So we wanted to give employees another opportunity to have even higher deductible, less, making the contribution rate even less. So we wanted to introduce a 5,000, 10,000 VIBA and HSA plan. The second recommendation that we had was to adjust the current plan deductibles. So like I'd mentioned, currently the HSA for the single has a $3,300 deductible, and that's because of IRS regulations. They keep increasing that a little bit every year, and in 2026 it's actually going to be $3,400. So the single keeps going up, and the family we've just been keeping the same. So we kind of wanted to realign everything again. So we wanted to make the VIBA and HSA be $3,400, $6,800 for 2026 to kind of bring everything back in line. In the past, they were actually both 3,000, 6,000 until the IRS came in and we had to quickly adjust that to be compliant. So that would be our second recommendation. Our third recommendation, I will say this one was probably the toughest for our team to vote on and make a decision. We've heard for several years employees come to us asking us, why do we just have the option of single and family? I am a husband and wife and I have to take family coverage. I am a wife and one child as a dependent. Why do I have to take family coverage? And we've looked into this several times, but it wasn't beneficial for us at the time. We decided to look into it one more time, and I included in your agenda items kind of what that would look like. With the funding recommendation. And the BAC did decide to move forward with this recommendation after we did a quick survey, just asking the simple question, yes or no. With these proposed funding numbers, do you approve, would you support this? And we had about 72% say that they would support having a 4-tier plan rather than a 2-tier plan. And the reason being that this was such a hard decision is it's not a win-win all across the board. There are some options that would see an increase while others would see a decrease. So that's why it was a hard recommendation for the BAC to make. But in the end, we do recommend that we expand our coverage tiers from 2, being single and family, to 4. And we would add a employee plus spouse and employee plus child or children. Is there any questions on our health insurance
Would it be
recommendations?
employee plus child or children?
Child or children. So the way Amy explained it to us is even though children go to the doctor quite frequently, usually the treatment that they need is much less expensive than a grown adult. So a child or children would be actually a lower contribution rate than an employee plus spouse.
Okay.
Jackie, I'm wondering could you and or Amy cover the premium estimates that are on page, that are in the handout? I believe that's page 2, if I'm looking at that correctly. You try to get some simulation of what those premiums would be with the new 4 tiers versus the existing tiers. Yeah.
Amy, you are welcome to chime in at any time, but yeah, as Monty said, we kind of gave what the 2-tier versus 4-tier would look like. And you can kind of see another thing that we would recommend is, or what we proposed is kind of making the current VIBA and HSA costs very similar. So you'll see for single, whether you're on VIBA or HSA stays the same, but you can see as you work yourself down to employee plus spouse, employee plus children and family, the different prices there.
And if I recall correctly, Jackie, you all did a survey.
Yes.
What was the survey results on that?
So the survey, we had 166 employees respond to the survey. And we gave kind of examples like you're seeing here of what premium or contribution rates would look like. And we simply asked one question saying, if Benton County moved to a 4-tier medical plan offering single plus employee or children, employee plus spouse and family, would you support this option? And then the option of yes or no. And 72% said yes, that they would support this. 28% said no, they would not. And that was kind of our deciding factor. Like I said, the BAC had a hard time trying to decide if we were going to move this way or not. But once we got those survey results and see that a large majority of employees supported this, that's kind of why we moved forward with the recommendation.
Okay. Any questions on that? I think, 72% of the employees wish to go that route.
Mr. Chair, may I ask Amy, could you educate us briefly on this HSA deductible issue, the IRS? Why does that go up, and why must we follow suit?
Yes, great question. The IRS rates govern the plan rules, for lack of a better term. And they have something that's called an embedded deductible within an HSA. And in order to keep the deductible embedded, they set certain thresholds at what the single rate could be.
Okay.
For if you just have single coverage, this really doesn't matter to you. If you have more than yourself covered under the health plan, it becomes particularly important to maintain that embedded status. And what that means is, let's say within the example of we'll say the 34,6,800 plan, if we did not maintain or if we did not increase that single deductible to 3,400, and I am a family coverage, instead of any one individual under my plan having their out-of-pocket maximum reached at the individual level of 3,400, they could go all the way up to that 6,800.
Okay.
Right now, with that embedded status, any one individual automatically stops at the single deductible or the single out-of-pocket maximum.
Yeah.
So it's a significant impact. Like when we were talking about some of those high cases that you've experienced in the past,
Yeah.
usually it's just one member within the family. And so if I had that 6,800 level, that one person's out-of-pocket maximum would go all the way up to 6,800, and that would satisfy everybody in the family. If we maintain that embedded, that would stop at 3,400.
Okay.
So it really reduces that exposure.
Thank you.
During COVID, the IRS did not make adjustments, and then right after COVID, all of a sudden they started kind of playing catch up, and it's gone up $100 every year since then.
Thank you.
Anything else?
So, Mr. Chair, in looking for your consideration of the BEC recommendations, and whatever you approve, we'll take that into labor negotiations, and of course then carry also to non-union employees for effective January 1st. Of course, it's important for employees to know what the health insurance plan is going to look like as they make decisions about open enrollment, which is in November. Yeah. So.
Mr. Chair, are we still sticking with the Blue Cross Blue Shield? Is that the plan?
So Blue Cross, of course, are self-funded. They're the plan administrator. Yes.
Okay.
So Amy, has that been put out to bid recently, or is there a plan for that to go out to bid anytime in the future?
We will be within our 5 years. Every 5 years, we have to go out.
Yeah.
And so in 2027, we would need to go out for coverage for 2028. So as of right now, for 2026, we plan to stay with Blue Cross Blue Shield.
Yeah.
We may need to look for other stop-loss coverage in 2027. Should
Okay.
rates not be favorable.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
I'll move approval of the 4-tier plan.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Been made motion and second to move to the 4-tier plan. Is there any
So,
other discussion?
Mr. Chair, of course, there's two other aspects to the BAC recommendation. What's your thoughts about the other two aspects? You want to do those one at a time, perhaps, or?
So, just for clarification, Monty, you're talking about addition of a new high deductible option.
Yep.
Adjustment of the plan deductibles and expansion of the coverage tiers.
Yes, sir. Yep. Those
The
are
high deductible, I mean, it doesn't, I mean.
Yeah, I call it super high. That's right. Those
They wanna
those
do
three
that, that's
pieces.
fine.
Yeah, it's up to them.
It'll be
Three
their
items
option,
there.
right?
Yeah, because that actually helps the county too.
Right.
Commissioner Pinsky, are you considering adjusting your motion to include all three?
Yes, I'll
Thank you.
adjust that.
All three of them?
Yep.
And I'll second.
So motion been made and
Thank you
seconded
for catching
to
that.
exceed all three recommendations. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
All right, we're gonna continue on, hang in there. Okay, so we covered our recommendations for health insurance changes. If you remember, earlier this year, I was in front of you and we asked to change our ancillary insurance broker to Integrity. And Integrity did go out and do an RFP for our life and long-term disability insurance. And Isaac is with us here today to kind of go over the results of those RFPs. And if Monty, if you're so willing, I believe Isaac is going to be presenting. If you can push the magic buttons to give him the power.
Let's see here. See, I go here and,
Okay.
I find him. And I go make him the presenter. Yeah, there you go. All right, Isaac, you should have seen a pop-up that says you're the presenter.
All right, thank you. Okay, are you seeing my screen?
Yes.
Should be. All right. Commissioners, thank you. Good morning. As Jackie mentioned, we recently became your broker of your ancillary benefits, so that's your life insurance, long-term disability, and we're looking at an additional voluntary coverage with vision insurance, which we'll review here momentarily. Just after a quick review of your life and long-term disability plans, it presented itself to me that there might have been some opportunity for a couple of tweaks to those plans, as well as just kind of check the market and see where that information is, where your rates are coming in a competitive bid environment. So we took the life and LTD out for RFP. The life insurance does have an employer-paid component to it, so we treated that like a formal RFP, making that available publicly. There's some other protocols around that, but in addition to making that posted publicly and inviting solicitation or bids on that solicitation, I should say, we also distributed that RFP to this list of carriers, about 20 carriers. That included your incumbent carrier, Minnesota Life. As I was reviewing that information, you've had that plan in place, this life insurance plan in place with Minnesota Life since 1978. So it was time to just kind of take a fresh look at that and invite some competition. And so we had some really nice response, I would say, and all in all, I should set this up one more time, or with one more thing. With both the life and long-term, there was no particular motivation to change carriers from an administrative standpoint. Benton County's been pleased with the carriers thus far, the incumbent carriers, so there's been no compelling reason to leave that way. This was simply just a check of the market, as well as introducing some plan enhancements along the way. So knowing that, we were going into this giving that incumbent carrier some added favor, knowing that there's effort and cost and energy that it would take to change carriers as well. So giving that extra emphasis on the incumbent. I'm not going to dissect this in too much detail here, but very pleased to see Minnesota Life Insurance Company. They did reduce their basic life, that employer-paid component, by about 10%, and then keeping all the other rates consistent. So no changes on the voluntary employee-paid, and then a small reduction on the employer-paid, county-paid portion. Doesn't add up to a whole lot annually, but a little bit of savings there. More important than that, I would say, was the plan enhancements and the quotes on the plans that we got. So other carriers that were in the mix were the Hartford, New York Life, Transamerica. Minnesota Life agreed to a couple of plan enhancements that we asked for. This is based on our review, Integrity Employee Benefits, our review relative to the market. So we work with 64 other counties, 140 public entities across the state, so this is our specialty. A couple of enhancements that we wanted to ask for included increasing that spouse life, that voluntary spouse life, from $150,000 to $250,000. Minnesota Life agreed to do that with no change on those rates. Another one which adds some administrative advantage is removing the age reductions on the basic life insurance, so the employer paid component. Once an employee reaches age 65, those amounts get reduced, and it just adds some administrative complexity as well as potentially some confusion for those employees. So Minnesota Life agreed to those two changes along with the reduction in rates. So the recommendation from the BAC and our recommendation would be to adopt Minnesota Life's proposal here with a 3-year rate guarantee. That's not a 3-year commitment, it's just a guarantee of those rates. So if something motivated you to want to change carriers next year or 2 years from now, you would have the freedom to do that. You just can enjoy these rates for 3 years. So recommendation being adopt these plan enhancements and accept the proposed rates to reduce the basic life on life insurance. Jackie, do you want me to pause there, or do you want me to keep going through on all these benefits?
I think we can keep moving on.
Okay. Same drill here on the long-term disability. The incumbent carrier here is Madison National. We got quotes from a handful of other carriers in the market. I should add these carriers that we distributed the RFP to that declined. It's not that they wouldn't be interested, it's just that they looked at your plan design, they looked at your rates, and they decided it just didn't fit in their models very well. So we got quotes from 5 carriers here, including Madison National, the incumbent. This one is a voluntary coverage, so this is an employee-paid coverage. And Madison National came in very aggressive. This is not uncommon. When you start introducing some competition to the equation, Madison National, very consistently, we see this pattern from across our other groups. When you start introducing competition, they reduce their rates. So they reduce their rates by about 25%. That's fairly uniform across each age band here. There's a little bit of variation from one age band to the next, but for the most part, 25% is consistent across each age band. 3-year rate guarantee here as well. Again, not a 3-year commitment, but a 3-year rate guarantee. We asked for one plan enhancement, and that was to increase the maximum benefit amount, monthly benefit amount. Today, that maximum amount is $5,000. We asked that to be increased to $7,500, and that covers just more of your employees. That pretty much covers all of your employees. Just increases the amount of wage that plan would cover. So it just makes those employees more whole if they were to use a long-term disability, have a long-term disability claim. So Madison National will honor that quoted rate and allow for that increased maximum. So that would be our recommendation, again, giving favor to Madison National as the incumbent. Really good carrier administratively, steady as she goes that way, and have otherwise been pleased with them. So recommendation is to adopt these reduced rates with the increased maximum on the monthly benefit. So that's the recommendation from the BAC and from us at Integrity. And then last but not least, this would be a new benefit. This is voluntary vision insurance. And I'm just going to pull up a little display here. You guys would have actually seen this. You may not have it in your materials now, but when we presented and you voted to use us as your broker, we had this information in there. This includes information on, for our book of business, again, all public entities across the state, how many groups are offering, at the beginning of the year, 137 groups in total. How many are offering any given benefit? Right now, 98 of our groups have voluntary vision insurance in place. Average participation across those 25,000 employees is about 40%. So it's a pretty popular benefit with employees paying out of pocket. This was something that has come up. There's some feedback from employees. Jackie would have more background on that. To look at voluntary vision insurance. So we did that. We compared some pooled plan offerings that are available. And a couple key things about this is that there's not exam coverage here. That's going to be paid for on your medical plan. So we don't want to pay for that in two different places from a premium standpoint. So this is savings on materials, those glasses and contacts, $150 allowance for either those glasses or contacts in a given year. So essentially you can think of it as you get $150 of benefit as well as some discounts on other options. But you're really paying for less. So that employee only, $610 a month, it's a non-taxable benefit. So 610 times 12, it's non-taxable, so I'm gonna say 0.7 to take taxes off. 5124 annually for the employee only, and then you would have a $25 copay on glasses. So you're looking at roughly $75 a year if you're gonna get a pair of glasses, but you get $150 of allowance. Very simple way to illustrate that. So this, again, is a voluntary benefit, paying with employee premiums, and our recommendation is VSP. The main reason we're recommending that is the benefits are going to be the best when you're staying in network. And when we charted the network in the area out, so looked at Foley, Malacca, St. Cloud, Sartell, Sauk Rapids, Waite Park. These are the number of clinics that are in network. VSP had the best network. MetLife actually uses the VSP network. The recommendation to VSP simply because that's a household name. A lot like Delta Dental, if you're thinking dental insurance, it's just a household name that people recognize, providers appreciate VSP. They're very good administratively, easy to work with. So that's our recommendation, would be to adopt the VSP pooled plan that we had set up with the Minnesota Healthcare Consortium a couple years back. You'd get 3 years of rate guarantee, similar to life and long-term. That's not a 3-year commitment, just a 3-year rate guarantee. And, we would make this available on the menu of benefit options for this coming open enrollment.
Mr. Chair, just for clarification on the vision, employee optional, no employer cost. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
That is correct, yes.
Mr. Chair.
The vision, like the exams, those are covered under the medical, correct?
Correct, yes.
So realistically, this is, if an employee wants to take this, basically they're hedging their bet on they're gonna get glasses.
Right, or they
So-
already have glasses.
Exactly.
And every couple of years they need to update those. Yep.
Yep, so they're gonna pay 75 to get 75.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, we just wanted
Yeah,
to
their
have
choice.
another option for employees to take if they like that.
Okay, any other questions? We need a motion and probably need to mention the 3 companies.
Mr. Chair, I'll move for approval of the recommendations from BAC and the culture team regards long-term disability, life insurance, and vision insurance as presented.
I'll second.
Any other discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thanks, Jackie, for
Thank you.
everything.
Mr. Chair.
Thanks, Jackie, and the whole BA's.
If I may, I just want to thank the BAC, Jackie, and the culture team. I will say these changes on tiers is very bold and very creative. These kinds of changes have been discussed for a long time, and I think it's good to see more options for folks. So again, thanks to culture team and the BAC for their work. Appreciate it.
Yes.
Yep.
Thank you.
We're gonna do Christine and then we'll recess for ditch authorities.
Yep.
Okay.
Do public health first, because public health ain't gonna take care of it.
Good morning.
Good morning. Morning.
So before you, actually, Commissioner Benoit asked me to offer up some information on insert to put in with the TNT notices. Before you, we have a neighboring county's budget information that they had in with their T&T notices last year, so just looking to see if that's something you would like. Just kind of explain to the public where the dollars go, how it's separated out between county, city, township, special assessment.
Mr. Chair, Christine, would you, if we would like this, would you put together a draft document like this that we could
Yes,
approve
I could
first?
have a draft ready for the October 7th meeting, because all of our proposed levies have to be into our office by September 30th.
Yep.
And then we would need to submit our artwork to the outsourcer by mid-October.
So that's plenty of time for you to get your
Yes.
notices in, okay.
Yep.
I'd like to see the draft of it.
See
Absolutely.
the draft. How much time do you think you'd have in doing something like this?
Not
A
that
lot?
much time,
Okay.
no.
Mr. Chair, my guess is a special taxing district, that's where the airport authority would fall in.
Right, yes.
I think it's very important on a lot of, yeah, we need to explain where all this is coming in, because I think a lot of taxpayers assume just because it's Benton County taxes, it's all on us.
Right.
It's, there's school district, there's cities, there's airport, there's everything.
There's
But we-
Townships.
We take the brunt of it.
Yeah.
Great idea. Thank you, Commissioner Benoit,
Yes.
for asking. I'll
Thank
look
you.
forward to the draft.
Okay.
Thank you.
We'll do the, public health ain't gonna take too long from, and so we'll recess the board meeting and move to public health first.
Call the Benton County Community Health Board meeting to order. Anything to add to the agenda, Jacqueline?
Yes, I do have one item to add. Hopefully will be a quick one, and I have one item to pull off of the consent agenda. The Town Square Media contract amendment. We were just looking to extend the end date for that contract, and we were hoping we'd have it signed and back from the party by today so that we could get it early September, since we made a change with the second meeting, but we didn't get it back in time, so we can take that one off.
Okay, so we'll pull number 3 from the consent agenda. What else do you need to add?
And then adding a contract with Children's Dental Services. I'll pass that out here.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, motion to, for the agenda, modified agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Consent agenda, item 1 and 2.
Move for approval, Mr. Chair.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Jacqueline, consider approval of the
Well, and good morning. Thank you for your time on the agenda this morning. So I have in the agenda packet today just a request for a proposal. There, we received notification of a funding opportunity. The amounts that we can apply up to would likely be around $175,000. As you know, we already employ a community health specialist who works on substance use prevention. And we know that that work entails quite a bit of staff time, especially when we look at policy and community initiatives and implementation of that. So this funding source really would just be an opportunity to offset some of our costs and the work that we're doing already, and even expand maybe some additional opportunities around more of the work with the cities within Benton County and looking at their policies as well. So we still want to explore it a little bit further, so I didn't put in there just for us to just blanketly apply. I do want to sit down. The timeline's coming up pretty quick for an application to be submitted, so I wanted to bring it before board just to get support of us looking into it further, and if we feel like it's a good fit, then applying application for that, so.
Jacqueline, do we have to throw anything in this for, if we get the funding?
I did not see that there was a match, but I will look at that make sure.
Yeah, just need to know if we get a 10%
Just,
match.
yeah, from my standpoint, if we get additional funding, I still would not support additional staff
Right.
for this work.
This would be to
Yeah, not
help
asking
fund
for
our
additional staff,
existing-
nope.
Right.
Although we could use this funding, say if it were to come in to offset staff time,
Yeah.
or other staff time, we can use it, if they're working in that space, yep.
That'd be
Yep.
great.
Yep.
And how long is this funding available?
Let me see here.
Is
I
it
don't know if
spaced
I
out over
have.
time, or is it 175 for the whole year?
I believe it's for, yeah, I believe we would apply, I'll have to look, I'm sorry, I don't have it. I know it's just the timeline is coming up really fast for letters to be submitted for application to be considered, and so I'll have to look at the time frame. I thought it was only for 1 to 2 years, but I will have to double check on that.
Okay.
The main thing we were looking at is, that expanded work with our cities and partners. We updated our Benton County tobacco ordinance, and we wanted to do some additional work with partners. And this funding source, I know after Mariah looked at it and Kayla looked at it, would offset and allow us to pay for staff time to do some of that work with them, so.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
When it comes to the tobacco ordinance and stuff, I imagine that would also include maybe cannabis.
This potential funding source is only for, I believe, tobacco and flavored tobacco products. However, we do have the cannabis and substance use prevention grant that we use for that, for the cannabis work. And so we were looking at it as a way for, if our cannabis and substance use prevention, our shipped tobacco funding for those gap areas that we don't have coverage of, we would utilize a source like this. Yeah. Good questions.
Yep. Any other questions for Jacqueline? What would you like to do with this board?
Move for approval for public health to explore the funding opportunity.
I'll second.
Okay, you've got a motion and a second. Any further discussion on that? If not, I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Next one, Jacqueline.
Yeah, and just one question of clarification. Do we have a permission to apply after we're looking into it more?
Yep.
Okay, just want to make sure that motion covers that. Okay, and then the one add-on that I had for today is consider approval for a memorandum of understanding between Children's Dental Services and Benton County Public Health Community Health Board. As you know, our region lacks access to dental care, and so one of those short-term solutions for us is to engage a mobile dental provider to come out to Benton County and to provide dental services. Our regional dental coordinator, Tessa, has established a partnership with Integra Care and also with Community Dental or Children's Dental Services to potentially come out into our county to provide those dental services. So we're looking at a hygiene team coming out to our Foley location here across at Ancillary Care. And then the Restore team is a team that comes back and does restorative services for those that need a follow-up appointment and more advanced dental care. Our goal would be to have Children's Dental Services come out at least monthly to Benton County, Integra Care, as well as other areas throughout the county to provide those services. So today, just looking to see if I can get approval of this contract, and then we would be looking to coordinate with CDS for those visits.
Any questions, board?
Mr. Chair, Jacqueline, just for clarification, the estimated cost of $1,000
Yes.
per visit.
So this is what I'm right now what we have. So the way that Children's Dental Services, and Tessa, you can correct me if I misspeak, but what I'm hearing from Tessa, the way that they operate, most of their services are billable. If we are able to cover mileage and transportation, because that time is not billable to an individual's plan or for their service, they can come out to the community more frequently. So for us, we committed to Children's Dental Services that we have some local public health funds that could help offset some of their transportation costs to come out to our community with the hopes that then they can come out more frequently. But that is the amount that we have estimated that we would spend as of today is only $1,000 because that's what I have for available in our local public health funding to fund. In the future, if we get the Medica grant that they came and asked for a couple weeks ago, we would plan to maybe support more of those visits if we
So
can.
how far does your $1,000,
We're just gonna fund the first one for this, at this point in time.
visit?
Yep, we're just gonna fund the first one. Children's Dental Services can still come out. It's just when they have opportunity for mileage to be covered, they can come more frequently.
Sure,
So,
okay.
yeah. Yep.
And it's broke down between hygiene and restorative.
Yes, yep, that's the cost for what it would be for them to come out to, for that one-time hygiene, and then the Restore team, that's the cost for their restorative, for their mileage and travel time, I believe, yeah.
And Children's Dental Services would cover any costs associated above and beyond that.
Correct, yep, that's our only commitment. They, really, us right now, all we are is getting the contract established and then being that person to identify different community locations that would be good for them to go out to and helping to spread the word, educate the community on the visits, and so forth. So for us, our only, really part at this point in time is just the coordination, so.
Okay, board? Motion, please.
I'll move approval.
Thank you. I'll second it. We've got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Thank you. Jacqueline, anything else?
That is it. I'm going to leave you with a copy of our newsletter, but no other agenda items.
Mr. Chair. Got a question here. I know that the city of Sauk Rapids approved the 2 cannabis sites and then also put a moratorium on there. Did you work with them on that stuff at all?
We did not work with them.
Thank you.
We do have a cannabis committee,
Mm-hmm.
so I could ask and see. I know Roxanne has been quite engaged with leading that, but as far as I know, we were not.
Okay. I know, there's not a lot of these being passed right now in the state, and for a city in our county to pass 2 right away, and it was Uncle Hippie's Cannabis LLC and Cultivated Knowledge LLC that they approved for the business district.
Uncle Hippies?
Uncle LLC.
Oh, LLC, good.
Yeah, and we do have the cannabis and substance use prevention funding, which that funding came out just recently within this last year. That's new funding to prevent the use, and so certainly we'll be engaged in different implementation and education activities, but yeah.
Just a note, they did put then a 1-year moratorium.
Yeah.
So, how many other cities have brought in these cannabis? Because I know, what was a city that was in the news that I think they ended up letting it go? It was down by Red Wing or something like that.
It's in southern part of the state.
Yeah.
That is correct. Yeah,
Have there been a lot of these approved lately?
I've heard that there have been in different counties, just from other public health directors, just
Okay.
various communications and just people talking about and kind of planning for what will be when there's more access to the substances. But at this point in time, yeah, I don't have like an exact number.
And just for the public, we have to allow a certain amount per population, and then the cities of Sauk Rapids that are not or the cities that are not under our or jurisdiction would have the ability to monitor their own, correct?
Yeah, the way we have ours drafted, yep.
1,000 people.
Yeah.
Yep. But excluding the jurisdictions that are not under our and their population. So their population comes off, correct? Yep. Okay.
More to
Thank you.
come with that one. Anything else? Thank you, Jacqueline. Appreciate it. At that point in time,
Go ahead.
we're adjourned at 10:38. I'll turn it back over to the board chair.
And we'll go straight to ditch authority.
All right, we'll call a ditch authority meeting to order at 10:38. We've done our roll calls. Is there any additions or changes to our agenda?
I have nothing. Is everybody comfortable with the order as presented?
Okay. The only thing I will say is I would like to pull item 2 to have further consent agenda item 2 to have further discussion with Chris and Beth to review the minutes. They're pretty complex and long.
Yeah.
I know Beth spent some time trying to listen to the recording, and I think Chris and I have additional notes that could maybe help solidify those minutes. So I'd like to pull the approval of those special meeting minutes from the August 19th meeting tonight, so the 3 of us could review those and make sure they're correct, and we can add them to our next ditch authority meeting. With that, is there a motion to approve our amended agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion second to approve the amended agenda, which would include pulling item 2 off the consent. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, is carried. Move on to consent agenda item number 1, the minutes from the August 19th.
I'll make a
meeting.
motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and second to approve the ditch authority meeting minutes from August 19th that were held in the AM that morning. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, is carried. Move on to regular agenda items. Item 1, consider the landowner request to keep a tree within the CD 14's buffer strip. Chris?
All right. So this first item is on County Ditch 14, the ditch that we just completed the repairs. As you are aware, the Drainage Authority has adopted a policy that we remove all trees within the 16.5-foot buffer strip on both sides of the ditch. During the repair project, there were some trees that were allowed to remain, mostly due to they had personal property attached to them. And when I say personal property, I'm most often referring to there were deer stands. So still yet today, there is a tree that still remains in the buffer strip. I've had some correspondence with this landowner, written and verbal, and recently our drainage inspector has had correspondence with this individual. They would like the tree to remain within that buffer strip area. And the reason that they're asking for it to remain is they're quoting or citing a treaty from 1837, that's the year 1837, between the U.S. government and indigenous people or tribes at that time, that they're saying allows them the right to have that tree there and use that buffer strip for hunting purposes. So I'm bringing this to the Drainage Authority for discussion because it would be in conflict with the policy to remove all trees within the buffer strip. Just asking the Drainage Authority to consider, I guess, allowing that tree to remain due to this treaty.
Comments?
Mr. Chair, how many other trees and ditch areas in the buffer zones would this treaty affect? I mean, or is this like a one-off?
I think on this ditch right now, this would be the last tree that's remaining. We had a couple that we had the contractor come back earlier this summer to remove, and then once again, they found a deer stand still in the tree. And then after some written correspondence from our office to that landowner, we received a call back. And then as recently as the most recent ditch meeting that we had at the Foley High School Auditorium, this landowner was there and then spoke to our drainage inspector, Adam, about this issue.
Let me rephrase my question. Is this something that can be brought up on other ditches, or are we gonna have to do this on everything? When somebody is opposing a tree?
Mr. Chair, I know Hannah from Rinky is with us. Perhaps she could offer some thoughts on that. Chris, can you minimize so we can see Hannah?
Sorry.
And she might be muted. You're muted if you're attempting to respond, Hannah. You're muted.
Good morning, Hannah. Do you have any response to that conversation at all?
Good morning, everyone. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
We can.
And see? Okay, perfect. Yeah, so Chris had actually reached out to John Kale and I about this, and John's answer was, I think, is the good one, in that there's probably a practical solution here of that the tree in the stand could remain as long as they do not impede access to the system for inspection and maintenance. So the reason of why normally trees would be removed is that when you're doing a ditch clean out or inspection, sometimes you have to have the side-by-side or heavy machinery that come in, and trees could block access to that. So as long as the tree, or if there were other trees in similar situations that don't impede access to the system, it could remain. Without having looked specifically at the treaty that the landowner referenced, little bit more difficult to kind of ascertain whether or not that's a viable claim or kind of what a counter to that would be. We certainly could look into it further, but as far as the practical solution, the tree could remain as long as there's an understanding that that's only as far as it's not impeding inspection or maintenance of the ditch.
I think to Hannah's point, and what this board is going to have to decide is the practicality versus if we ask Rinky Noonan to do a in-depth consultation to check on the validity of the treaty and their discussion, is it outweigh pushing the tree off the buffer strip? I guess that's, to your point, do we run into it other ones? Maybe we do, and maybe we have to deal with it on a one-by-one situation.
To Commissioner Kapinski's question, I think it's difficult to answer. I don't think we know at this point how many landowners would claim that they have that Native American right at this point.
Chris or Adam, do we feel the tree's impeding the buffer strip to be able to do anything? You have no hesitation on that?
I mean, we were able to complete the channel cleaning with that tree remaining. And that's why our contractor Hellman was able to work around it at the time. And it was pointed out that the tree was remaining, and we had said that they were going to come down. So
my knowledge, we've only had really one other request to keep a tree, but we disagreed with the reason why.
Yes.
Here now we have another reason, but are we gonna have to do more work to come up with a reason why?
I don't think we should have to, if we go out to Rinky Newman or something, that has to go back onto the ditches.
It will, yes.
Repair or assessment, so I don't think that the majority of the people in that ditch would not wanna pay to see if this tree could or could not be removed.
Mr. Chair, at a minimum, if this was approved, if this tree would go down in a storm, I think it would be up to the landowner to pay for removal at that point if it's in the ditch or something like that.
Is that an option, Hannah, that we could require the landowner to be responsible for that, or does it have to be done by the system?
It would need to be done by the system.
At that point, I can't.
Either way, if it falls down, it'd have to be by the system instead of the landowner.
If the tree fell down and was if it's the system that wants the tree removed, that would be a cost of the system. If the landowner would be removing it, I guess, regardless, then that wouldn't necessarily have to be a system cost.
I think just to clarify though,
Yeah.
so we're all on the same page here, is that if the tree came down on its own from an act of God or whatever, who's responsible to remove it if we allow it to stay?
I could see that ditch owner saying, it's your responsibility, it's in the ditch.
Me too.
My concern would be if the landowner wanted the tree to remain there to begin with, and it falls down, what if we run into some reluctancy from that landowner to get it removed and remove the blockage? It may end up forcing the Drainage Authority to take action, which, then would have to be assessed onto everybody at that time. Unless, I know, Hannah helped me out, there is some statute that talks about buffer strip violations. I don't know if there's anything under there. I mean, trees can be in the buffer strip by law. If there's, some kind of angle there that there's a violation of the buffer strip, there's opportunities at that point to assess individual landowners for correction.
That is true, however, just having a tree within the buffer strip likely would not be a violation. That generally would be if somebody were to be growing crops within there or put pavement or concrete or something like that in there. Generally, trees most likely wouldn't be a violation under the buffer law.
So, go ahead.
Hannah, since this is a request from a landowner, can we tie a condition to it that
Correct.
says, if this tree comes down, you are responsible to remove it? If we approve the request for it to stay.
I think that's I think it's worth having the conversation with the landowner about that and having an understanding between the ditch authority and the landowner of, yes, we're going to allow this, but here's what you would have to do.
So then does it make
let
sense to,
that
let's have Chris and Adam have a conversation with the
Yep.
landowner and see if they're agreeable to that, and we can move on it on our next ditch meeting. How's that?
And with that, make sure that when they go in there with a skid loader and they tear apart the ditch,
They repair.
it's gotta be repaired.
buffer strip.
Yeah, exactly.
That makes sense?
So this sounds like an agreement signed by the landowner and the Drainage Authority that
Correct.
puts that in writing. Because
If
once
the-
again, this is not gonna be an issue we deal with tomorrow. It's gonna be years down the road, and we need something in writing so everybody remembers that.
Everybody, we have consensus on that?
And it follows the land, so that's gotta be a disclaimer if they sell the land. That's gotta be a disclosure.
While we're on that topic, is it okay with the Drainage Authority to seek assistance from our drainage attorneys on writing up some of that language and expending some funds to have that language drafted up?
It's hard because that goes on the ditch.
That goes on the ditch.
And it's basically affecting one landowner. If we did that, maybe it's something that the landowner could pay.
Landowner should pay.
I think that should be a
In the
negotiation.
negotiations that the landowner pays.
Or you can bring back the estimated cost to us at the next authority meeting on what that would cost.
Good, okay.
And
Over one tree.
members, since this is an agenda item, it'd probably be appropriate to get a motion to table and second it. the
Motion
next
to
meeting.
table it to our next ditch meeting.
Second.
Okay, motion to table and second. The next scheduled ditch meeting, which as of right now, I'm not sure when that is, if we have one scheduled or not.
Well, it was scheduled originally for the 16th, which was a regularly board scheduled meeting. That brings up a good topic. Now that the regular county board meeting was moved to September 23rd, do we want to follow similar suit? And now that I think about that, it may be an action item that wasn't on today's agenda.
Monty, do our ditch authority and other subsequent meetings follow our county boards? I mean, to Chris's point, we didn't really change the ditch authority meeting.
We didn't, right, yeah, so, of course, you can always have a special meeting. You do have this authority on the 23rd, it would be considered a special, right?
Because we could easily cancel it due to lack of agenda items, but to reschedule it, sounds like it would take an action.
Well, I guess the board, we need to make a decision, do you want to have a special meeting on the 23rd and not have it on the 16th?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say follow the board meeting. Yeah.
So we'll add that, we'll need to add it as we'll have to move on it.
Yeah.
We'll need to add it to the agenda. Yeah, well, we'll need to add that discussion as a motion to change it.
That would be my follow-up question. Can we take action on that if it wasn't part of the published agenda? So for today's agenda, there was not an action item to reschedule the September 16th Drainage Authority meeting. So can we take action on
Yes.
it if it wasn't part of
Yeah.
the published agenda?
We should be able to. We got
I
time.
don't see a problem, it's as simple as a scheduling matter.
No.
You know, it's not substantive action of the ditch authority, it's simply scheduling the statistics, so I don't see a problem with
Well,
saying you're gonna have a meeting.
let's handle two different things here. The first
will-
one, we got a table and a second to our next ditch meeting.
Correct,
I don't think
so-
you need a motion to say you're gonna have a meeting on the
Right.
23rd. You just tell me you're gonna have a meeting
Yeah.
on the 23rd.
Okay.
Post it, right?
But this particular motion to table is to our next ditch authority meeting,
Would be, okay,
Whatever it may
The
be.
tw-
whenever it may be.
Yeah.
okay, whenever, yep,
That okay?
yep.
All right. So we have a motion to table to our next ditch authority meeting. All those in favor?
Or,
Aye.
or whenever it may be.
Whenever it may be. Thank you. Anyone opposed? It's carried. Thank you. All right. Consider the landowner repair permit request for branch 3 of CD 14.
Okay, so the next item, similarly, so it's on ditch 14 again, the one that we recently had repaired, but on branch 3. This individual landowner would like to do, in my opinion, some additional work on that channel through their property. Our drainage inspector has had conversations with this landowner, did make a field inspection of it, and did notice some areas of some erosion in the bank. Here's the channel. This is in a portion of the ditch where the channel is really shallow. And part of that is due to, before we did our repair project, this dashed line represents the ditch bottom as it was out in the field. It was already below where it should have been. So there wasn't any excavation really in that channel, maybe just some vegetation removal to kind of define the channel to begin with. So we talked about it as a kind of a drainage team in the office and thought, well, let's have the landowner complete it like a permit. And then we would take that to the drainage authority for consideration to allow them to do some work. We came up with some conditions that we think, recommended conditions to put on that permit if you do consider approving it. But yeah, I mean, Adam, our drainage inspector, had multiple conversations with this landowner. If you have, he might be able to share some more insight on what that landowner intends to do at that location.
Quick question before I move to Adam. Has the landowner been involved in these proposed conditions of this permit? I mean, is he aware of them?
Were the conditions shared? Because I think we just came up with these just before agenda items were
okay.
due last week.
Anything
so.
you want to add, Adam?
Yeah, I'm just gonna scroll back up here to, the photos I took when I met with the landowner out there. So basically what the landowner is stating is that since the ditch was cleaned out on one side and the excavator was on one side, it basically square cutted this side of the ditch while allowing this side to be tapered off. Because obviously when you dig with an excavator, he says it went straight down and then pulled out, tapering. So basically what this landowner is stating is he wants to go in on the other side of the ditch and basically taper off that side. In his own writing here, this is the permit we had him fill out prior to this meeting. He states himself that he just wants to prevent the banks from caving in and plugging it. He's not going to go deeper than the Houston Engineering Reestablishment Report. So basically in these provisions is we're asking him to just taper off that one side of the ditch and then clear out any sediment that may have eroded from that square cutting.
Okay. Any questions?
And that'd be
His cost, correct?
This would be at his cost.
Correct. This is the only time, or the only money spent would be obviously my time and Chris's time on this matter. But he would be using his own excavator. He asked me to also come out there if this was approved to make sure that he's doing it right, making sure he's not going above and beyond of what, was stated in these provisions and also his own words. So I would be the one inspecting it to make sure that it's done well.
Mr. Chair, I'm assuming he's gonna do this through his whole parcel then, instead of just areas?
Yeah, so I'll
This would just be the branch though, right? Not the main trunk.
Well, it's
Correct.
a branch, but I just wanna make sure
But it does go through a
that's it.
majority of it.
Correct.
Yeah, so this one on the right here is the main trunk,
Yeah.
and then this is branch 3 that comes through his property.
He's gonna do the whole branch.
Most likely, yes. I only saw like half of it, but this was the spot that was the worst regarding the erosion back into the bank.
I've actually seen that branch, and to Chris's point, it's extremely shallow.
Yep.
They barely took the vegetation out of it. What are your wishes?
I have no problem with it if
No, I have no problem with it.
he's gonna oversee it and they're doing it on their own cost. I'll make that motion.
Okay.
I'll second.
A motion and a second to approve the landowner repair permit request for branch 3 of CD 14 as presented, and would need to be in agreement with those conditions.
Yeah, I just want to make sure to clarify that the conditions as presented were okay. Okay.
That
And-
okay with your second?
Yep, that is okay with me, Mr. Chair. In the future, some of these ditches, if there's experienced excavators that are willing to take on certain areas at, no cost, it's gonna save the problem is just so they know, it doesn't alleviate them in the future from other sections.
No credit.
Correct.
No credit.
I just wanna make sure, because that's a fight we don't
And
wanna.
If they, they're not gonna be able to go into other people's property and have.
Correct.
Directly on their own, so.
All right, we got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's carried. Move on to consider the County Ditch 10 repair.
All right, so I believe we might even have some landowners along County Ditch 10 in the audience. As part of the agenda packet was the petition to repair County Ditch 10 that the Drainage Authority received back in December of 2020. At that point, we were kind of already starting the redetermination of benefits process. I don't recall in 2020 if we had decided on this one yet, but shortly in this time frame or shortly thereafter is when we decided to do a redetermination of benefits on all the ditches. But I believe, I don't know if the petitioners are here, but this was the petition that was received. The petitioner's words stated the greatest benefit will come from cleaning the ditch from County Road 4 south 1 mile and 1/4 mile north. However, the entire waterway is in need of long overdue cleaning / maintenance. It was determined to be a valid petition, and then a repair report was ordered. And that's kind of the time frame that we're in right now. We don't have that repair report completed to know what a repair would look like at this point. So I don't know if the chair would like to hear from adjacent landowners on County Ditch 10 at this time, or?
Yeah, I just have one question for you. I'm just looking at my notes actually from the public hearing that night. The petitioners, if I'm reading this correctly, Tracy Reinhardt Adams and Richard Adams. Richard Adams, I believe, gave testimony that night, if I recall the discussion, unaware or didn't agree with the repair. Do you have any idea? Is my recollection correct? Because it's.
I do remember though, Richard Adams speaking at the meeting that we had over at the Foley Auditorium. Yeah.
He was, according to this, he's a petitioner.
If it is in fact the same Richard
Person?
Adams, I would point out their mailing address at that time was Chesterfield, Virginia, but this parcel was a originally benefited parcel, and so there they did have a vested interest in the Drainage Authority and had the right to petition for a repair.
So again, a valid repair petition.
Was
by
determined
these
to be
two
a valid
petitioners
repair petition.
Benefiting the CD10 system.
And it was filed in accordance to 103E.715 petition repair process.
Okay, yeah, if there's people here who'd like to speak on CD10, if we could please try to keep it to a couple, 3 minutes, I'd appreciate it. Looks like there's a number of people that probably would like to speak, so if you could please come to the podium and state your name and address and your comments for the record.
Hello, Board.
Morning.
Yeah, I'm Robert Stolpman. I come as a spokesman for most of the landowners here. The petitioner is also here, Tracy Adams.
Okay.
And we'll get into that subject after I read my prepared statements. I'll deviate a little bit based on the discussions that we just heard here about other ditches. My address is 1783 35th Street Northeast in Sauk Rapids. The last mile of CD 10 runs through my property. Thank you for allowing us to be on your agenda today. My comments today reflect most landowners along CD 10 and several benefactors of the ditch. Why am I here? When I was invited by postcard to the August 19th annual ditch meeting, I did some research on the Benton County website. I ran across the December 3rd, 2024 meeting minutes of the Benton County Drainage Authority Subcommittee, which describes two alternatives to work on CD 10. One alternative listed was $4.4 million in estimated cost, and the other was $522,000 estimated cost. My small 260-acre farm with 150 acres of tillable acres would be assessed between $8,000 and $70,000, depending on which number was used. I wondered if my neighbors knew of this potential cost. Most did not. Upon registering for the annual ditch meeting at the door, I received the agenda that stated that $136,000 has already been spent or allocated towards CD 10, but no one has seen any improvements, just that someone has been studying the issue. The issue was a repair petition, which was submitted in December 2020. This petition began a very formal process and apparently gave a blank check to the county to do something with the ditch, but we still don't know what. At the beginning of the meeting, the Ditch Authority attorney explained the difference between terms maintenance and repair in the drainage world. Maintenance means inspections for vegetation, trees, beaver dams, and their removal. Repairs are generally for a complete redigging of the ditch in part or in whole. The Minnesota Public Drainage Manual, Section 7, indicates that drainage law does not require the appointment of an engineer for non-petitioned repair of drainage systems, whereas for a petitioned repair, the drainage authority must appoint an engineer to be responsible for examining the drainage system to determine the extent of the repair. Transparent communication and trust are our key issues. One researcher boils trust down to one question: are you there for us? Is the county ditch authority there for us as benefactors to the ditch of CD 10 or CD 11? 5 years without improving the ditch, $136,000 spent without our approval. Here's what our ask is going forward. Accept the original petitioner's withdrawal to their request so that a less formal, more effective maintenance effort can be made promptly. Immediately remove the beavers just south of 65th Street Northeast, where there are 2 beaver dams. Show an itemized breakdown of the current expenses and involve the benefactors in approving all expenses going forward to ditch CD 10 and CD 11. The physical work necessary to clean out the 8 to 10 locations of blockage identified by the county drone footage should never come close to costing $100,000. Please watch the budget like it was your own money coming out of your own pocket. We recommend removing the blockages agreed upon before the end of February 2026. To deviate from my statement a little bit, I've talked to contractors and their hourly rate and the approximate cost to clean out the section between 55th Street and 65th where the blockage is, would be 10 to 30,000, just making, I don't want to pin a contractor on an amount. But we know right now that I'm going to start on the bottom of the ditch on my property. There's hardly any water running through there right now because of lack of water. Okay? You go a mile north and that water is flowing, but there's hardly any water in it. The next mile, well, that would be just below 55th. And then somewhere between 55th and 65th, the water stops running. And at 65th, that's where the water is all blocked up and you can put a leaf in there and it's not moving. You might think that we are all wanting the ditch cleaned so we can farm the land. Not true. We have several landowners along the ditch that like to preserve the wildlife habitat as well. CD 10 is very unique in the sense that very little tillable land is benefited directly from the ditch. Rather, the ditch improves heavy runoff from many acres of meadow that flood. Farmers didn't have crop insurance 100 years ago. The best thing was to own a variety of land, so during the dry spell, the farmer could harvest or graze the meadows. Also, just a side note, as you determine the maintenance budget for the buffer strips along CD 10, less than 10% of the buffer length is accessible unless on frozen ground. We appreciate being heard today. Others can speak. You can call on others, but I feel that these comments come from numerous conversations and about 10 hours of research with the neighbors and on the website. We look forward to hear your comments at a further meeting, if not today. Apparently that might be the 23rd. To deviate from what I've written here, and then we can go on, but with this discussion with trees, Ditch 10 has generally operated pretty well for the last 100 years, doing what it's supposed to do. And it is a wildlife area. It's not like any other ditch you really have in the county, I believe. And to help preserve that, just to clean out the high spots, I think we're convinced that getting those high spots out are going to give enough relief to anybody who is needy drainage for any tile system that might be connecting to it north of 65th. That seems to be the only tillable concern. All of the tillable land that all the neighbors, the rest of the, of 10 can have significant floods, and it does not affect our tillable land. It only affects whether we can get our hay off and if we can get in there. And in fact, we have made hay there now on our end. It's not possible on the other end. So that's reverse of what you think a ditch should be. The bottom of the ditch should be the wet side, not the top of the ditch. So thank you.
Members, any comments before I open it back up?
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
maybe we could give Mr. Saltman some breakdown of that 138, because it's gonna be redetermination of benefits, all of that cost, as well as the buffer strip payment. Do we got that, as well as the engineering for the repair?
Yeah, and maybe I will remind the Drainage Authority that this ditch went through the reestablishment of drainage records process, just like we did on the previous repairs, due to the fact that we had original documents that showed the profile and the alignment of this channel, but we didn't have elevation data. So we went through this reestablishment of drainage records process, and that was finalized in 2023 after public hearings. And it was just looking at the file here online or electronically. Notice of hearings went out to everybody. So yeah, part of the cost was, yeah, the redetermination of benefits, the reestablishment of drainage records process to find where the bottom of that ditch is supposed to be, and that's where we learned we had high spots and beaver dams. Yeah, and paying out buffer strips.
Do we have a breakdown of that? And, you know, what I'm looking at is, you know, was it, you know, $20,000 for redetermination of benefits, and was it, you know, 40, 50,000 of buffer strip payments?
We do, yeah. Our accounting system, I have a report, I can picture it on my
But
desk
what I'm
right
saying
now,
is,
but we have
can we
that.
tell that to the people?
Yeah, I apologize. I don't have those exact numbers off the top of my head, but that is readily available to us as staff that we could share easily to show what has been spent to date on what.
But just for clarification too, I believe one of Robert's points was, since there is a valid repair petition, triggered an engineering that we had to do.
Correct, yeah.
So there's engineering costs
Yes,
involved too for the repair report.
yes.
Okay, which would be part of the 136, I would assume.
Yes, correct, yeah. Those numbers that were presented at the public hearing was costs to date on that ditch.
And
And to my recollection, excuse me, Commissioner Kapinski, is when the subcommittee met, we did look at both alternatives, but that information in a repair report hasn't been presented to the Ditch Authority yet to make a choice on which repair.
Correct.
So we've still heard public input. I mean, according to his input, he's got estimates, I'm sorry, I don't remember.
10 to 30.
10 to
10 to 30,000. But they're not necessarily part of the alternates that were provided from the engineering firm,
Yeah.
which this Ditch Authority hasn't seen the repair report yet.
Correct.
Okay.
And we're all, what's interesting is we're all talking about, we're kind of focused on the same area. As we heard at the subcommittee, that area or that 1 mile between 55th and 65th, we're running up against the Wetland Conservation Act that was passed since, you know, more recent than when the ditch was established, which forces us to consider those wetland areas specifically in that mile stretch.
Well, and those alternates, if I remember from the subcommittee meeting, the $4.4 million estimate was based off of full repair of the full system.
Correct.
And and the alternate two was a significant step down of basically taking out high spots, beaver dams,
And
culvert
wasn't
replacements.
wasn't the 4.4 exceeding the benefit?
I don't recall.
Because that included wetland bank credits and.
Well, yeah, that's what was a big part of that cost, is if,
Yeah.
even though drainage law and I think even wetland conservation, well, maybe I'm overstepping my bounds. I'm starting to talk about legal things and maybe our attorney's better. But what I understand from a technical standpoint, we're obligated to replace wetlands that are impacted that have existed for 25 years or more along that ditch. And when you look at our Wetland Conservation Act in our state, we have to replace that at 2 to 1. And we've had this conversation before. In our bank service area, as the Board of Water and Soil Resources looks at, on the open market, wetland credits are running upwards of $100,000 per acre.
And it's the
one
highest
every-
one in the state.
Yeah, which is the highest in the states. For every 1 acre of wetland that we potentially impact, we have to buy 2 acres of credit to replace that. So 1 acre of impact could cost the drainage system $200,000, which I believe is why the subcommittee said, let's do a little bit more homework to see if there's other areas that we can restore drainage without having large wetland impacts. The sad reality of that is that requires staff time and engineering time to investigate those options, and leads us to the $136,000 to $140,000 of costs to date.
Christine, have these buffer payments been paid out already? Yeah. Okay. I see you shaking your head, Robert. What was your payment roughly?
I think it was maybe $800-900.
Okay.
All right, any other questions for Chris? Maybe there's others that'd like to speak.
No.
All right, anybody else that'd like to come to the podium?
Cost for the buffer was like $5,200 for the whole ditch.
Okay. All right. Anyone else that'd like to speak? Regards to CD 10? Couple more times.
Petitioner.
Is the petitioner here, did they say? Yes. Okay. You'd like to add anything?
So good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Tracy Reinert Adams, and I live at 2757 65th Street Southeast. I would like to point of clarification, and my husband did speak at the August meeting. He is the other petitioner for the original petition that was filed in 2020. Richard didn't say he didn't want the ditch cleaned out. What he said was that the cost of cleaning out what was a neglected ditch for the last, I'll quote my dad, 70 years ago, he could walk down ditch 10. He could put his feet in the bottom of ditch 10, walk down ditch 10, walk towards the farm, walk down ditch 10, walk all the way up to what was then County Road 4, which is 65th Street. Now, you can't swim. So that's what my husband was saying. He wasn't saying, don't do it.
Okay.
He was saying, wow, this is a lot of money that you're assessing to us today that nobody's paid any amount of money up until this point to have maintained and accomplished. So it's a heck of a punch financially at this point when you're talking about the numbers that were floating around, and those are the same numbers that Robert just presented to you. Those were the only numbers we had given to us. So
Thank you for clarifying that, by the way.
Yes. The ditch is worse today than it was in 2020 when our original petition was filed. We were looking for relief for the ditch to be cleaned out because we cleaned out our personal property ditch that runs along our property with permission from your authority to do so, and established it back to its level. And we were looking for the county to do the same and get that water down south. It belongs at Bob's house, not at mine. I'm just saying, in the natural flow of water, that's it. There are several things we didn't understand, and that's true as far as this assessment and who gets benefit and who doesn't pay. But we were instructed that the only way to get the water moving the way it should was to file this petition. If there was a way to ask verbally for a maintenance request that would have accomplished that, we did that, and we're told that's not what you need. So we filed the official petition that you see and that was made public record. So that's where we are today.
Tracy, can I ask if you've had any discussions, or Chris maybe could answer this, about, what's the word I want, I'm sorry, pulling back the petition? That's not the word I want. Withdraw, thank you. Withdrawing the petition? Has there been conversation about that?
I haven't spoken with Chris directly. What I did speak with, I have not spoken with Chris directly because Bob was speaking with Chris on the group's behalf. My concern, our concern, is the same concern it was then. If we pull our petition, does the water flow? We're a little anxious about that, but a little disappointed that when we asked for the beaver dams to get taken care of, to just establish a normal flow of water, not cleaning it out, but hey, my gosh, beavers live here and the water stopped flowing. Bob can mow meadow he's never mowed before. You can't watch a leaf move in the ditch at 65th Street. But we were told that those beaver dams won't be addressed, and the flow of just things you could maintain will not be addressed because of this petition. So it was implied very heavily that the only way to do the maintenance things that lets the water do its natural thing, much less clean it out, is to withdraw the petition. That's where I stand today. I don't know who wants what to make those things happen and to have them done cost effectively and some of them with immediacy.
Sure. Okay. Thank you, Tracy.
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
I agree with you 100%. I wish these ditches would have been taken care of 20, 30 years ago, because we wouldn't be sitting here having to make up 100 years of back time. And then with time, we get strangleholded by the state on regulations we need to push down, which nobody likes, including beaver dams. Between you and I think it's easy. Go out there and blow up a beaver dam, right? Well, then we got the DNR and everybody like that all over us, and we have to have permits or we get in trouble even more. So I agree with everything you guys are saying, and when it comes to starting the petition, nobody knew what these petitions would bring forward. It brings forward costs and stuff like that, and some of these costs, whether we sit here like it or not, are there. It's not like just because you pull back the petition, the 130 some goes away. There was a lot of things done on this that you guys, like Robert said, we haven't seen anything yet. I get that. It bites, but there's with what the county has to go through, and then when you look at affecting the DNR, the Bowser, every state group above us, it's insane on the cost of what these things cost to engineer.
Chris, do you have any comment about that? I know.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tracy.
No, I appreciate her comments. And maybe Hannah can help me out here. Well, I understand legally, though, we did receive a petition. Legally, the Drainage Authority reviewed that and ordered a report. So I think we're obligated to bring back a final engineering report at a public meeting to meet our statutory obligation. Now, at that point, once the report is shared and finalized publicly, the Drainage Authority will have to choose what to do next. That could be to do a full repair or to be a partial repair. And I don't know if, Hannah, if you have any comments on if the board or Drainage Authority, I should clarify, Drainage Authority chooses to do something different than what that report says, what are maybe some risks or implications with that?
Yeah, so Chris is correct. At the end of the day, this is the Drainage Authority's decision. The engineer just submits their recommendation, and the board could choose to go along fully with that recommendation. The board could ask the engineer to come back with some alternatives. And at the end of the day, as long as there's support, whether that be from the landowners saying, yes, we don't want to expend money on these certain things, and the board finds that those certain things are not necessary to maintain the hydraulic capacity of the ditch, that is within the board's discretion, as long as there's support within the record for that decision, especially if it is contrary to what the engineer comes back with. But the board would be able to do that at that time.
And Hannah, I think the important part here is that this would be when this board receives that report, it would be a public meeting with public input about the report. What we don't want to have happen is we get the report, we've got to try to make a decision, and then landowners 6 months later are frustrated because of the decision. This takes landowner involvement, like you're doing today, to share with us about what happens with the potential repair on CD10. But we don't have that report yet. Commissioner Pinsky.
Mr. Chair, I don't want to put words in your mouth, Tracy, just from, and I heard it from Robert as well. When you put this petition in, there's no way you thought it would come up to $138,000 to repair a ditch, let alone the 522, let alone the 4.4. Right. Had you have known that,
you wouldn't have done
you probably wouldn't have done that. that's what this is about. It's about nobody knowing the process, and you look at you look at the governing factors that increase all of these costs all the way along. The $10,000 to $30,000 might not be including all the buffer strips and everything like that. It's being smart about it, right?
Well, if I might comment.
Yep, go ahead.
So this 10 to 30,000 is simply to get an excavator in to dig that out in the wintertime. And this operator operates in Sherburne County and does the county ditches there.
Yeah.
And, I mean, he sounded conservative with the number that he was presenting, but, I mean, he talked about the whole clean out between 55th and 65th. But my main concern, our main concern, right now, the landowners here represent about 80% of the ownership along that ditch. The rest of them are some 40s that are Alaska owners and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But my main concern is don't expend any new money unless we get some input in this before we go and even finish the engineer's report, which may or may not be necessary. What's been done so far has been interesting and good in the sense that that ditch, when you look at the mapping of it, is very close, hardly has any sediment in it. It has a few kinks in it that was, I don't know how they originally got there, but they were filled. In 2021, when it was so dry, Chad Flipson and I cleaned out our section of that ditch by flipping the hairdo back from the side. So a 6-foot wide ditch went to 20 feet wide back where it was. All we did is flip the hairdo of bad grass that was growing in it, and there was maybe 3 spots that we showed Chris where we were going to do how low we would go, and all the sediment is on a pile there yet that we took out of it. But, you know, I mean, in a perfect world, I think all of us landowners would pay for it ourselves. I mean, what the county can do as a conduit is spread that cost and do it administratively right, but we don't need to create all these extra expenses. It's kind of like having a sliver and going to the Mayo Clinic for a consultant.
Thank you. Hannah, just logistically here, though, I'm hearing Mr. Stoltman and probably the landowners requesting that we don't expend any more dollars, but to my understanding, we haven't received the repair report yet, which is required for the petition. Is that correct? And so to say we can't expend any more dollars, I don't know that we're at a spot where we can't expend more dollars to get the final repair report, because the petition has triggered the repair report. Is that a correct statement? So where are we at on the repair report?
Yeah. Well, Mr. Chair, can I ask a question of Hannah?
Yeah.
If the original petitioners withdraw their petition, even if they said they didn't want to do that, that doesn't absolve us of the responsibility to finalize the report, does it? Or can we just stop it at that point?
At that point, because the repair wouldn't be ordered, there potentially would be an issue with costs, because when that repair petition would have been filed, I'm pulling up the statute right now just to make this, so it wouldn't necessarily absolve the issue just by getting rid of the repair report, because the Drainage Authority has already accepted it and found that there's some need for repair in the system and appointed the engineer. And so we're kind of past the step of whether or not to go forward with this. And so the next step would be a hearing on the repair report.
Chris, where are we at on the
Yes.
timeline of the repair report?
So I would say we're close. As you recall, at the last work session we had, the Drainage Authority gave me direction to coordinate with the township, because one of the conversation points was the township culvert at 55th Street indicates that it could be 1.5 feet to maybe 2 feet higher than what the bottom of that ditch elevation should be. So that's where I'm at. I'm trying to coordinate a meeting between, and it happens to be on the line between Mayhew Lake and Minden Townships. So trying to coordinate a township meeting between the two townships is where I'm at to have that conversation. And the reason why is because, and just for the public's benefit, public road crossings has been deemed to be a cost to that road authority, not all the benefited landowners. So it really does impact the township's levy, whether they can afford to lower their culverts at their cost.
Commissioner Prince.
So would it be fair to say that a lot of this 138 is already spent, number one, and number two, we got a few pieces left before the road authority or before the ditch authority gets this report back. So expending more money would be very minimal at this point.
How much would that be roughly?
Yeah.
And I will add, we staff-wise, we have reached out to some contractors to get some quotes ourselves. So I wanted to be, just as an engineer, I wanted to be prepared for that. What it would cost to bring in there and remove those
beaver dams
between 55th and 65th Street.
Now, during this communication, in this $138,000 was also the Bowser, the DNR, and everybody approving us
Correct.
doing those removals of
We had
beaver
meetings
dams.
with the technical evaluation panel. We had email correspondence. We had wetland, desk level wetland reports put together.
At that point, Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, but if a landowner were to go out and potentially hire other contractors, they're gonna be subjected to the same rules mess around that ditch that we are. That means Board of Water and Soil Resources, DNR, SWCD, US Army Corps, our own LGU. The TEP's gonna have to approve any of that work, are they not? If we're subjected to it, why wouldn't everybody else be?
Correct. And I'll apologize for Hannah. She did tell me that she had another meeting, so it looks like she might have jumped off.
Okay.
But that's my understanding. And I think there may be some exemptions that are allowed for drainage authorities that may or may not be allowed for individual landowners. But if they were to go excavate before doing their due diligence on those wetlands, and once again, there is a large wetland complex identified between 55th and 65th Street. If they violate that, they could be subject to penalties and assessments for that. That whereas maybe there's some protections under the drainage code that we can do some things that an individual landowner couldn't. I will remind everybody too that County Ditch 10 is also Mayhew Creek, which is on the public waters inventory, which is another layer of regulation that has to be vetted through as well. So you got Board of Water and Soil Resources, which is tasked with enforcing the Wetland Conservation Act. The DNR is tasked with enforcing public waters regulations.
Well, and as we've experienced, county drainage ditches are not exempt to the Wetland Conservation Act.
No.
There was a recent statute change that altered that, and I don't even fully understand that. So I think that's one thing. To fully understand that, we'd have to consult with attorneys.
So
Commissioner Kapinski.
going back to the petitioner, I didn't know that I was gonna be a drainage authority when I went for commissioner. Had I known, that might be a different outcome, to be quite honest with you. And you, by all means, didn't know that those 5 or 6 agencies would be triggered by your simple petition. That's the frustrating point that we have to deal with. And then we have to answer to you guys. I myself want to get all of our local legislators in a building and let you guys come to them and say, is this true? Why is it this way? Because I think we need to start higher up. It's been a rough couple months here, and it's not going to get better right now.
No,
So-
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
Chris, what's it gonna take to get rid of those 2 beaver dams?
We looked, because it is very swampy between 55th and, we don't believe that you could walk a piece of equipment out there. So we reached out to a contractor that's known for cleaning ditches with specialized excavators with swamp pads, as they called it. We couldn't even get them here for under $10,000. It was gonna be at least $10,000 just for mobilization of that equipment. We used to have contacts with people that were licensed to use explosives to remove beaver dams. We've lost those contacts due to retirements and things, so we're still investigating that. We were in contact with some trappers too, to trap the beavers before we do that. But mind you, all those costs, even to have explosives to remove the beaver dams, is still a cost to the drainage system. So, yeah, I think we're hearing that we don't want to expend any more costs on the drainage system, but we do want to see some results.
Right.
Well, we do know we need to get rid of the beaver dams.
Yeah.
Okay, because they're claiming that that's the flowage.
Mm-hmm.
It's disrupting the flowage. So at that point in time, we've got to get rid of the beaver dams one way or another.
Yeah.
I mean,
But to
that's a
Chris's
cost
point-
that's just gonna have to be though.
Right, it's a cost
We
of the
won't
system.
know until after those beaver dams are gone of the flowage.
Well, and
Yep, go ahead.
We're going around in circles right now with the discussion, and that's what I offered in my original comments, is to come back to another meeting with some facts and make some decisions instead of going around and, we're not blaming anybody. I think we're all fine with additional costs as long as we know what they are and can approve them.
Correct.
As long as you're gonna see
I
results,
think
right?
it's,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, the county doesn't have any skin in this game. It's only for the landowners and the benefactors.
Correct.
And your process is only to distribute those costs to our satisfaction. So don't work against us, work with us, please.
Well, and Robert, to that point, though, I would like to say, I think we are trying to work with you on this. We're trying to take as much public testimony as we can and operate within the rules we have to operate in as a ditch authority. And so I think you're right, we will have further discussions going forward.
I
And we appreciate the input, we really do, because otherwise, the five of us sit here and go, well, we think this is best.
Well,
But we do
our-
still have things we have to follow, though. I hope you can understand that.
We totally get that,
Okay.
and you appreciate the fact that our ditch is unique compared to the others, and I've heard about the others, and they're not any fun.
And
Okay,
Hey,
thank you.
Robert.
Mr. Chair,
I-
one more point.
Go ahead.
To your point, Mr. Stoltman, we took a lot of stuff out of that meeting we had the other night at the Foley School. One of the things that Commissioner Benoit and myself, we went over to talk to Sean Arnold about what he brought up about getting the people involved in inspecting the ditch before final payment. That was one of the things that come out of our, conversation. And I think that's a very fair point, but we also talked to Sean, it's like, okay, one person might not like that rock or that, so we gotta come up with a certain, criteria on what we're looking for, but I think that's very fair. If the people are paying for it, there's gotta be some kind of a small committee along that ditch that says, okay, we agree this is done right, but there's gotta be also some criteria set for that to be evaluated.
And all that has to operate within the
With it,
confines that we
correct.
have on us.
Yep,
I
exactly.
agree with it 100%.
And to Chris's credit, I mean, he's been good to work with all along. I haven't dealt with that at all. I haven't met him yet, so.
All right, thank you for
Thank
your
you.
comments. Public, it's still open. Commissioner Benoit.
Yeah, Robert, the contractor excavator that you spoke with, is it possibility for you to share that information with Chris for him?
Scott Montag does the work at Sherburne County.
Okay. Anyone else?
Vern Reinert, 2759 65th Street Northeast. And so we are, Tracy, my daughter, she owned part of the farm. But anyway, my reason for getting up here is that we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the fact that DEPA rented that meadow to a cattle owner who run cattle in there and started the blockage of ditch 10. Okay, now, if there wasn't anything on the books to say that you can't run cattle in a lowland or in a meadow that crosses a county ditch. There should be. So if we spend all the money to clean this ditch out and get it flowing again, what is to stop DEPA from renting it to somebody else that does the same thing? There has to be law in the book that says you can't do that without fencing off the ditch so that the cattle can't go back and forth across it, because that ditch 10 runs diagonally across 100 acres of meadow, okay? And the cattle, of course, obviously went back and forth, and how many places did they cross, how many small dams did they create to start with, which in turn creates the problem we have today. So if there is no law in the book, there should be, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, and you just mentioned it about getting legislators involved, getting an agricultural commissioner involved. There needs to be one on the books that cannot happen.
Absolutely.
Thank you. And Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe there's rules in the book. You cannot be operating in the buffer strips that way. So you should not be crossing the ditches
I believe, well.
with cattle.
Well, we should get a legal determination.
Yeah,
They may
because-
be allowed to graze within the buffer strip, but to cross without an approved crossing may be where we can draw the line as a drainage authority and say you can't just cross through the channel. You need to construct an actual crossing with a culvert and stay up out of the channel in that regard.
That seems like common sense.
I would think that there's some.
Anyone else? Anyone else on CD 10? Final call. All right, thank you.
Thank you all for your input.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we're going to move on to consider the ratification and order for the 26 maintenance assessments. Chris?
All right. I did seek assistance, or we sought assistance from Rankin Union, our drainage authority, to draft this findings in order for the resolution of the maintenance assessment. Maybe just quickly here, we'll go through what we had a public hearing back in August at the Foley High School auditorium. These were the numbers that were presented. For Benton County Ditch number 3, a $5,250 assessment, maintenance assessment for next year. County Ditch 5, $27,000. Ditch 6, $7,500. Ditch 7, $35,000. Ditch 9, a $10,000 maintenance assessment. For County Ditch 10, $42,000 maintenance assessment. Ditch 11, $47,000. Ditch 12, $25,000. Ditch 13, $25,000. Ditch 14, a $15,000 assessment, and ditch 15, $20,000 assessment. So that's the resolution. If adopted, that's what would be certified today and then put on the tax statements for a one-time assessment for maintenance of those ditches.
Chris, just for clarification, a majority of these assessments are for past expenditures on some of these systems, which are redetermination of benefits, reestablishing the record, buffer strip payments. We're trying to get out of deficit on these systems, and that's where these dollars are made up of. Is that
Yeah, I would say that is a true
For
statement.
the majority of them.
Yeah.
CD 9 and 14 were clean, and 6, so these are quote-unquote true maintenance, actual work being done on these systems.
Yeah, a lot of these ditches had a negative balance, and the drainage authority has had to borrow from the county's general fund to expend those. So some of these, would go back to pay back the county's general fund for those expenses already incurred. And then I think going forward, if there's any additional funds left over, they would stay in that account for that individual ditch and could be applied to future costs if there's anything remaining. So.
Okay, members, and just a point of interest, this resolution has been put together that includes all ditches together.
Yep.
So what are your wishes or thoughts, comments?
I think the only comment I heard in some of the negative ones that they don't really feel that we have to view every ditch every year. I think like every other year, every third year, that we should not be spending money. Specifically, it came from ditch 6, I think, that they feel that we did a fantastic job and they like what we done, but they don't see it necessary to come back every year.
And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, statute requires every 5.
Every 5,
Unless
yes.
there's a buffer strip violation.
Correct.
You have to each year.
How
So
do
the
we
ditch
find
authority
those
could-
violations if we don't inspect?
I'll report a landowners
Yeah.
probably to the ditch inspector,
Yeah.
which would then trigger us to have to inspect.
Right.
Correct. And maybe just for clarification, I'd just like to point out that if a landowner calls from one of those ditches and wants to talk to the drainage inspector, as his supervisor, I've instructed him to track that time spent on that ditch, and so that only gets taken out of that ditch's account. So it's not like ditch 14 is paying for our drainage inspector to look at ditch 6 or vice versa. So if he does receive calls, it'll get assessed or charged back to that individual ditch.
To your point, Commissioner Pop, one of the things I think we have to keep in mind, which we kind of had consensus on, the first few years are going to be a little painful because we don't want to get behind.
Right.
So we've got to have to balance this out each year.
think-
Do we need to inspect it this year? Maybe, maybe not.
Right.
But we don't want to have the situation
Like-
where we're falling behind.
I would see ditch 6, like, okay, they mowed it last year, they inspected it, probably not.
Sure,
Doesn't need to
and
be.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, but maybe
The first year
after
after-
a repair or something, we
absolutely.
might have to be looking at it.
Thanks, Mr. Chair, thanks for that comment, because that was my suggestion, is that, after 3 to 4 or 5 years, hopefully they'll be just as steady instead of up and down, up and down.
Well, and where this annual ditch assessment meeting comes into play is that it gives us an opportunity to decide
To
that.
assess
Whether
that.
we want that amount or not.
I mean, just to further initiate or emphasize the point, like ditch 14, this maintenance cost, our ditch inspectors had presumably a couple half-hour phone calls with a landowner, an hour or two drafting up a permit with some conditions, and is going to be expected to inspect that individual landowner's work. That's additional time spent on ditch 14 on a project we just completed the repair. So that's where maintenance assessments really come in to cover those staff time costs.
And we may be, depending on the inspection, going out there and mowing or removing trees already in the maintenance mode.
You're correct, yeah.
Ditch 9, where are we sitting with that one more time? On what we got in the kitty or what we're behind on? Or are we even with that right now?
Ditch 9 just has the repair.
Yep.
Yeah, so it had a large negative balance for the repair cost that earlier this summer you certified the repayment schedule for
Yeah,
that.
okay.
And this is a one-time, one-year assessment.
Correct. So we would have a similar meeting in August of next year to discuss what we think. It gives us an opportunity to look at the past year of what we actually spent and talk about what we think we may need to do in the next year and determine the appropriate assessment for
Well,
that.
just for reference, historically, when we talked about ditch 6 last year, I believe last year's assessment was 15.
15, I mean.
We went out for quotes to do some work, came back in at a roughly $7,500. So that particular system actually has a credit
Right.
on it
I think
for
actually,
that portion of it. Because there's still repair assessments on it, I understand
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But when I single it down to the actual work of the maintenance,
I think what I remember is that we had about $7,500 assessment, and then the initial quotes came in at double that.
okay?
But then when the actual work was completed, it did come in under our assessment. So yeah, to your point, though, we do have a small credit.
Small balance.
But if we needed to go in and mow again, a year later or 2 years later, hopefully we have similar costs.
We're starting to get some historical data now.
Correct. So each year, we're going to have more information and be better equipped to estimate those forward costs.
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
I know one of the things that came up in that meeting in Foley was the weeds. Is there any kind of a spray that we could put on that's, I don't know, that could take care of these because mowing them is just cutting them down.
Right.
We want to spray.
And that individual was talking
Yeah.
more about brush growing. on the
Exactly.
side. And there is.
Environmental
That's right.
sides.
Yeah, I don't know if I've shared this with Adam, but yeah, there are sprays available because we spray for brush in our road ditches.
Right.
So I've already been thinking in my head of some things. Can we build a little spray rig with some of the equipment we already have just to spray it, spray those buffer strips as opposed to paying for maintenance? So
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
some things that, we're in the infant stage of this, so it's gonna take a while.
We're learning things every day,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Okay, so you see the order in front of you for the ditch assessments for 2026. Again, they're individualized but lumped together in the resolution. So what would you like to do?
Well, we were negative on some and we gotta get the money back to the general fund of the county from the ditch authority. So I'll make a motion that we accept the ditch assessments for ditch 3, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15.
Okay. Is there a second? Okay. A motion and a second to approve the recommended assessments for maintenance on all of our county ditches that were labeled off in the motion. Is there any other discussion?
This is, Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
it's not fun to assess people, believe me.
No.
But it's also not fun to go out there and find out we need more money to replace these. And we're starting, this is a process that's starting so that in the future, when something does need to be cleaned, we have some money sitting there. So, it's not, it's not fun to do this, but I will support it.
Any other discussion? No. Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor. We'll do a roll call vote, please, Beth.
Commissioner Benoit,
Aye.
Commissioner Heinen, Commissioner Pop.
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson.
Aye.
Commissioner Kapinski.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries unanimously to set this assessment for 2026. Anything else, Chris, in regards to this line item? Christine?
Can I clarify for the assessments that are under $10, what you would like done with those?
Oh, that's right.
Sorry to throw a wrench in. We, the ones.
Didn't
that
we
are
just
under
round it
$10,
up to 10?
They rounded up to 10.
Yeah.
Did that work okay?
Yeah.
You probably had some landowners who were frustrated that you were assessing them 75 cents and had to mail out the assessment. I'm assuming.
They would have been assessed the $10. We never assessed
So it was the minimum of 10?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because Michelle had stated that in a maintenance assessment, you can increase it to like the $10, but if it was a repair assessment, you have to charge the actual amount.
Okay. So,
Yes.
do we have
Yes.
consensus
Yeah.
on that?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Anything else on CD10, Chris?
So,
Or, excuse me, on the order?
I have nothing more.
so Mr. Chair, so with these peoples, are we gonna put ditch 10 on halt till we get further deal, or are we gonna let the engineer's report come forth and add more money to their already
From-
136?
Legally, we have to.
From my standpoint, I thought we clarified that the report, albeit, working out with the townships, is pretty much done. There's gonna be minimal money spent to bring that report back.
Right, I mean, we have no idea. I mean, do you have any idea, Chris, how much?
How much more to spend?
Yeah,
I don't know, 4 or 5 hours of meeting time and prepping for a public meeting.
okay.
So minimal.
Minimal.
Yeah.
Then we get a full repair, we can bring it back in front of you guys.
In front of these people so that they can kind of decide which route we should take.
I guess what I'm trying to say is that 136 or 138 isn't gonna go to 175, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's
You know what I
my
mean?
concern.
Well, I'm suggesting we don't have to decide that until you get your numbers together and we can come back at the next board meeting.
Yes, that's what the engineer's report will do is,
Don't do anything new until we've figured out the logistics of withholding the petition and those kinds of things.
Oh, okay.
Don't do
Yeah.
anything.
No, we still
Yeah.
gotta do the process, finish
Yeah.
the process, that's
Yep.
all.
Completely on hold.
well,
No,
I don't
can't
know.
put the process on hold. We've gotta finish the process.
That's all I'm asking.
yeah.
Well,
To get to your spot though, Mr. Stoltman, I think we're, like you said, a few hours away to having all of this stuff. And then we have a,
$1,000 an hour for those meetings, so that's $5,000 to $10,000 that did both of those beaver dams out. That's what I'm getting at. What does an hour of meeting time cost?
It's a very good question. The problem is we have to bring that report back at a public meeting, which requires notification in our official newspapers. That's $200 to $300 because you have to run it so many days and they charge it by line. We have mailings. We're required to send mailings out to all those benefited landowners. So we have that postage cost. And just the time prepping for that meeting. So, all said and done, maybe it is $5,000 just to prep to have the public hearing. So,
But
Well,
if we held a public hearing before that, we don't have all the information.
yeah.
We don't have none of it.
that would be, as an engineer, that's what I'd say, is like, they're gonna ask questions that we don't have answers to yet at a public hearing.
And correct me if I'm wrong, even if we wanted to today to go blow up those beaver dams, we still have to have the proper permits put in place. So,
Well,
Mark Helgeson, 5092 Fifth Avenue Northeast, Sauk Rapids, Minnesota. For instance, I have a beaver dam on my property. The water level was coming up onto the neighbors. He went to the courts, got a court order to come onto my property and remove the beaver dam. So I don't see how the county ditches would be any different than mine.
but we gotta remember, this includes a waterway too, which is a public waterway.
Just for clarification, Mark, you're talking about your private ditch, not the county drainage ditch?
No, I had a beaver dam that was on my property.
In his ditch.
Draining some flowage there, or where it's created a wetland. The neighbor to the north
Yep,
felt the water was too high,
yep.
went to the courts, got a court order to be able to come onto my property and remove that beaver dam.
But my question is that drainage, is that your private ditch, or are you talking about the county ditch 10?
It was actually in the state right of way.
Yeah.
The beaver dam.
Yeah.
So I'm still trying to.
It wasn't in
a
the
county
ditch.
ditch.
It wasn't in the
No, it was
ditch.
not a county ditch.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to clarify.
So I think beaver dams are a little.
Yeah.
I agree.
I think you could go out and remove a beaver dam pretty easily.
You can even go on a
without
public
having to.
waterway and do a beaver dam, because up in our area, a number of years ago, they did. It was a Bunker Hill Creek, they removed the beaver dam because it was flooding out.
Well, I guess we'll have to find out.
To me, that's something Chris will have to check.
I think it's relatively easy to.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mark.
Thanks.
All right, so
All right.
we're off of that. Discussion and possible action regarding ditch authority legal counsel.
Mr. Chair, I think having, Rinky Noonan at our last meeting was phenomenal, and they were able to answer a lot of questions that we'd have been stuck
Yep.
with, I think,
More than a lot.
you know.
We've been trying to get legal counsel all the way through this process so that we would have a better understanding and more knowledge. And in my opinion, the only time that happened is when we had Ricky Noonan in office.
Monty, are we required any type of action on this, or just some consensus, or what?
I think ideally, Mr. Chair, there would be a motion and second and vote of the ditch authority to have an unambiguous decision on this issue. Yeah, so
So basically, all ditch authority matters would be gone through Rinky Noonan.
if that's your motion, yes, yeah.
What are your wishes?
I'll make that motion.
Okay. Their second?
I'll second.
Okay, motion and a second that all future ditch authority matters would be through the Rinky Noonan office.
Conversation.
Yep, go ahead.
I had a lot of landowners at the meeting and after the meeting that contacted me that said that was a very professional attorney that we've had up there. It helped all of us out, and it made us understand that you guys are we'll say it, the voice of the state. There's so many things that we can't do. You know, we know it's obvious. It's pretty easy, remove a couple beaver dams. But the minute we overstep our boundaries, we're personally liable individually. So, and a lot of people don't understand that. So, I am all for making sure we have the right representation, not only for us, but for the people out there, so they get the right answers right away too.
Any other comments?
Yeah,
Again,
I will say, being new on the board, having him there was very enlightening, the most I've learned. Plus, I think that some of the calls that I've received back in reference to that also was, he kind of laid it out in layman's terms or simplified the legal language so that the public understood what he was actually talking about.
okay.
One
Monty, go
more
ahead.
comment. I want to make sure this isn't a knock against our
Correct.
county attorney.
Correct.
It's just like a doctor. I go to my regular doctor, I don't want him doing heart surgery on me, right? So they're specialized in that, and I think Rinky has proven that they're very specialized on this area.
And they represent a lot of counties.
Yep.
They do actually represent about 50 counties in the state of Minnesota.
Yep,
Commissioner
and
Heinen?
North and South Dakota too, so.
Did you have
No,
anything
that
else?
was it.
Okay, any other discussion? There's a motion and a second on the floor that all future ditch authority, what's the word I want?
Go to
I'm really
Rankin
slipping
Noonan.
it.
Go through Rankin Noonan.
Would go through Rankin Noonan, thank you. Wow, it's been a morning. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
I will still communicate that to County Attorney's Office and John Cole.
Okay, thank you. Anything else?
Yep.
Chris?
I have nothing else for Drainage Authority.
Members? We're adjourned at 12 o'clock. Thank you.
Break. Okay. Take a 5-minute break.
I need to take a break.
So we're gonna go to Chris Bird and we're going to do the amendment, right?
Yes, if we may, please. So,
And then if after that, if it's okay, we're going to adjourn the county meeting, go to our budget so we can get some.
What about the
people-
road plan?
You have to do the road plan or can we put that
well,
off?
for the interest of time, we can sacrifice that
Yep.
until the 23rd board meeting. So,
No, you probably have a gentleman here that came for that meeting, but.
Oh, really? Well, if we gotta do it, we gotta do it. And
Just talk fast, Chris.
okay, so, all right, what would you like me to talk about?
The first one.
Go ahead and do the 5-year road plan?
Yeah.
All right, well, okay, so we recently discussed this at a committee of the whole. Although previously to that, we discussed it on road tours and other public meetings. So this would be the next 5 years of our road and bridge construction improvement plan from 2026 to 2030. Couple things I just want to point out. Over the next 5 years, this represents almost $73 million of investment in road and bridge infrastructure. Of that $73 million, $33 million would come from outside grants, whether that's state or federal grants. $18.5 million would come from our local sales tax. $16.4 million would come from our annual state aid allotment. And then $1.7 million would come from our wheelage tax that we collect here locally. So that would be the next 5 years of road and bridge construction projects. I did include a resolution for you to consider. I would say that a couple things. It approves this and helps direct our workload over the next 5 years. Number 3, though, the board still reserves the right to amend the plan from time to time to reflect changing needs, priorities, or funding availability. So even though I'm asking for, kind of a resolution adoption today, that doesn't preclude you from opening it back up and saying, hey, Chris, let's talk about it some more.
Correct.
All right, questions on the 5-year road plan?
Oh, he's board chair.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You're so wound up.
I'm
you know?
sorry, Commissioner Pop. I'm still in ditch authority mode. Sorry, my apologies.
APO, I got called Madam Chair and he was looking at Rayanne, so that was personal.
My apologies.
Okay, yeah, any other discussion on it? Otherwise, I think, like he said, we can go back at any given time and add or subtract and lots gonna depend on 33 million in grants. That might not happen.
You're right, yeah. So, thankfully, you adopting this, we're starting to get into grant season or grant application. So by you adopting a plan helps me to include that in my applications funding.
Mr. Chair, maybe if I can, just a couple highlights because Tim is here. Again, kind of year 1 is kind of solidified, right? And then years 2 through 5 are ones we're going to discuss. But a couple highlights in that. County 50 is still on for year 2 as further discussion. And then CASA 25 was added as a reconstruct potential project in year 5. So just to highlight that. I know that you missed our committee of the whole meeting. Mark was here. But that's kind of the big picture of what happened with that 5-year road plan. Again, year 2, I think I could say year 2 through 5 are very much
open.
subject to change.
Yeah.
At least it highlights something on it.
Just like every previous year, 2 through 5 always gets changed and moved around
Yeah.
because of funding.
Right. So I just wanted to highlight that. I know the rest of us know that, but since Tim was here, so he's aware of what we did or are thinking of doing.
So we do have any other discussion?
Move approval.
Second.
And move and approve to adopt a 5-year road plan. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
All right, let's just move right along. So the next item I thank you for considering today is a contract amendment to our KLJ engineering contract. KLJ is the one that's designing our CASA 2 reconstruction project that's in that plan you just adopted for 2027, so year 2. Just as quickly as a monetary budget runs out, we run out of time budget as well. So the first contract amendment, I included the original contract just for your reference in the packet. But I want to get down to the first contract amendment, and we discussed this at the recent committee of the whole about that project, and that is to design a roundabout at the intersection of County Road 78 and 2. which, as an engineering standpoint, we believe would be a good idea due to the crash history at that. That was not part of their original scope, so they're proposing a cost of $47,452 to design that roundabout at that intersection. To put that in perspective, the CASA 29 and 1 roundabout intersection, that cost us over $200,000 of engineering just to design that as a standalone project. So since they're already designing the road around it, I do think there's some cost savings and some advantages to amending the engineering contract by $47,000 to design a roundabout.
I mean, we won't know the cost until we get to the design, but at some point, we have to kind of draw the line on how much we're gonna spend on that roundabout.
Well, Mr. Chair, the original discussion wasn't about 600,000 as a total for the roundabout?
That's for the construction costs.
Okay, so
it
it
would
didn't
raise
include
the
any-
yeah, and that's rough bar napkin estimate. We will get a revised and detailed estimate after doing this work.
Okay.
So once again, though, we're already reconstructing the roadway for $600,000 more. We get a roundabout to address crash issues versus $2.9 to $3 million as a standalone roundabout project.
Mr. Chair, it's not that I'm against this. I mean, I did say, let's just go ahead and spend it on the consulting and all that for that roundabout. But I drive through there 3 to 4 times a weekend, and it just drives me crazy that we have to put a roundabout in a big, wide open intersection. Okay, and we have to spend funds for that. To me, it doesn't make sense.
The only thing that's suckier is going back and doing it later.
Right.
But I agree, so that's why I agreed to it, but
I know.
I'm still against the roundabout there.
Yeah.
I am.
I came through there, well, after we had the meeting, I was hauling corn. You'd not believe the chances people take when you're going there. I mean, why? You can see. I mean,
Yeah, they don't even have to be
Well,
close
that's part of the
chances.
problem is they think they can see.
they can see. You might
We
be
just had a
right.
major accident on 4 and 6 yesterday.
Yeah.
Same
Oh, yeah?
situation.
Same one, same, yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Wide open intersection, 90 degrees. You got good lines of sight both directions. Why are
Yeah.
people crashing?
Yeah.
I mean, you can literally walk across that street when you see vehicles coming. I mean, seriously. But
Yeah,
I'm
you're-
sorry, just my opinion.
You can sit here.
So that would be the first contract amendment. Lumped in with this agenda item was amendment number 2. Oh, I should have shared that. That's a rough sketch of what that intersection would look like with a roundabout at it. 2 going east-west, obviously 78 north and south there. So amendment 2, a little bit more, but we reached out to them to see if they could help us out with acquiring right-of-way along this stretch of roadway, which needs to be occurring now. So there are 58 parcels by 57 different landowners along that stretch of roadway. It's really coming down to a time crunch of being able to acquire this. Just to put in perspective, this is being estimated to take about 840 hours of work to do that.
Oh, Jesus.
Our most recent reconstruction, CASA 7, Mark Lloydell was able to do that on that project, but for this one, it would take 21 weeks of him working 40 hours a week to get that done, almost a half a year. And we need to be getting right away, hopefully before the end of the year, so we can get trees cleared in 26 before bats become an issue, so that utilities can be relocated, so that we can reconstruct the roadway in 2027.
This is for all of CASA too, right? The whole project.
Correct, yep.
Well, just to Rice.
I mean, yeah, to
Yeah,
where
to
it
Rice,
needs-
yep. So, and that's interesting. It's a similar length as CASA 7. What's interesting is CASA 7 had 50 parcels, but only 37 landowners. So there was a lot of owners that owned multiple parcels. But that's where it becomes time intensive. When you're dealing with 57 different landowners, scheduling time to meet, to discuss, to negotiate, to stake out the right-of-way. Oh, the right-of-way stakes got knocked out because of mowing. Can you restake that? It does become really time intensive to have those conversations.
So is this acquisition to purchase right-of-way for the 2 and 78 intersection?
It would be the whole length, all the way from Rice east to CASA 1.
Yeah.
So the whole 4.5 miles of
You say about
roadway.
5 miles, okay.
There's a couple of large owners in there, so you must have a lot of, like, just lots where there's a house.
You're right, yeah. As you get closer to Rice, you got more individual houses. Where on the east side, it's 40-acre parcels, but,
But you must have had some dollars figured in for the CASA 2 project in regards to these two items, right? It's just that now we're looking for outside consulting for it.
yes, correct, yeah. So fortunately for us, we are doing very well on 2025's consultant budget. So I do have budget capacity left in this calendar year to cover these costs.
I'm a little concerned, though, if we don't have a county person doing it, an outside consultant. I think that's, when we did 78, Mark did it. And there, I don't know how many, that was a lot of miles in that. And I think the public is more aware when, Chris or Mark Lloyd will come and say the county wants to build this road. You send a consultant in and it's like, okay, if they got money to hire a consultant, we can add this much more to the costs. And we, how many are we gonna have to take to eminent domain? Cause I think, Mark Lloyd did a really good job. We were down to one that we actually had to send him a letter for eminent domain.
Yeah.
And that person has got property on this project too.
Oh.
The problem is though with it is to give Mark Lloyd 6 months worth of work.
With some things that are different now than when we were acquiring CASA 7 roundup or reconstruction, because I thought the same thing. I asked these questions. Why were we able to do it before? We can't do it. Well, for one, CASA 7 reconstruction took a month longer than what we anticipated. So he's managing that. We got Gilman in progress now, that reconstruction project that wasn't happening when we were acquiring CASA 7. We have 2 bridge projects. We've got plan review and design oversight on the next year's road construction projects. Mr. Lloyd will also have to acquire additional right-of-way for the CASA 13 and CASA 12 bridges that are in the plan for next year as well.
Doesn't he also have about 30 bridge inspections to do?
That's correct, yeah. So back to that earlier discussion of having them do more of the bridge inspections, does that alleviate some cost of this? I think it was actually cheaper to have the right-of-way done than have them do the bridge inspection. It comes out to, about $2,000 per parcel to do this work, to have the consultant.
How much did you say?
$100,000.
Yeah, so since we have 58 parcels, so it's about $2,000 per parcel to have the consultant do it.
If I had the time, I'd go out there and talk to these people personally and get it done for half of that.
I mean, that's honestly more than a half, one person's half, half their wages.
For a half a year.
Yeah, but it gets into the supply and demand.
Yeah.
Everybody out there.
But then if that person does that, how do they get the rest of the stuff done?
Yeah.
Yeah, what can
We
you
pull
put
him
off to
off
the
and say,
side?
you need to do this.
He just said what he's got to do
No.
next. That seems, does that include all the paperwork and everything that goes with this?
Yes, so this
Look
would be
at the
drafting
bottom.
letters. This would be doing the surveying out there to actually,
Oh, okay.
because landowners want to see the stakes. They want to see
Yeah.
where does that right of way going to go. It includes 3 in-person meetings with each individual landowner from the consultant. Drafting up with that permanent and temporary easement language, all that. So.
With all due respect, I guess I just need an explanation. We just hired 3 people over at the Public Works Highway Department in hoping to alleviate some of these outside extra costs. So,
Yeah, no, that's an excellent question. So 3 people, 3 engineering tech, we got still one of them inspecting CASA 7 reconstruction. They did not get the road opened before last weekend, so it's still closed now. They're still doing permanent seeding. They still have to do striping and shouldering. So we got 1 inspector on that. We've got 2 inspectors out on the Gilman reconstruction project right now. We've got the 3rd engineering technician finishing up surveying for the upcoming project. So the engineering technicians we hired aren't even available to do right-of-way work either.
In the future, maybe we need to look at our workload, and I'm not saying that you haven't, but maybe we're trying to tackle too much in one year. Maybe we need to push some of these off, to utilize our staff a little bit more, because, I mean,
I would bet though we might run into some funding.
yeah, true. Yeah, it's a
Issues.
double-edged sword.
You're exactly right, and that's why, I mean, it is a timing thing. So I really prescribe the ideas like having two budgets, a monetary budget and a time budget. So when you don't have enough of the other, you need more of the other side. So, and that's why it needs to take 5 years from agreeing to do a project till you're constructing it, because you need time to do these things. I know landowners don't like to feel rushed when we say, we're constructing this roadway in a year and a half, we need you to sign this right-of-way document. So I don't like the idea of pushing even landowners.
I don't think we have a choice.
Well, we don't. That's.
We, not against you, Chris, at all, 100%.
I'm gonna bite my tongue, but you're right. We have no choice. It's very disappointing, and it just makes us frustrated, that's all, as you can tell, Chris.
You're right. I mean, it kind of has impacts to the 5-year road discussion. Are we trying to get too much done in 5 years?
It gets to the point where pretty soon we could do all these outside stuff. We might as well hire another person.
Well,
Have one assistant county engineer, might as well have two.
But what good
Had a
is
hard
that
time
gonna
finding
do?
them.
I mean, seriously, what good is that gonna do? It seems like this outside stuff just keeps growing, and no disrespect, but it just keeps growing and growing and growing. And we hired 3 people. I mean, at what point do you say enough's enough? I don't know. I don't know the answers. I just, it's frustrating because ultimately this board's the one that has to explain to the public why we are spending this kind of money on outside. And I've sat here and watched Chris get beat up at that podium as to this kind of stuff. And
But-
it's frustrating.
Chris, so you need a Mark Lidle to do property acquisitions with his experience, correct?
Well, you're right. The alternative would be a staff person that's knowledgeable in right-of-way acquisitions. I mean, state aid, federal projects, there are laws, once again, we're getting to legal territory, of property owner rights. And a lot of it is timing. You have to provide them with a fair market appraisal. You got to give them so many days to consider it. If they counteroffer, we get so many days to consider it, and then counteroffer, and those kind of back and forth things. So it's those things you could get into big trouble if you do one of those things wrong.
You're talking about 58 landowners here.
Yeah, 57 on 50. Luckily, one landowner owns 2 parcels, so 58 different landowners. That's the struggle. So 58 landowners, giving them their due time for consideration, discussion, answering questions. And we know, even if we hire KLJ, we're still going to get questions from the landowners. They're going to call the county, they want to talk to the county engineer, why is this person? So we will still have time invested on top of this. KLJ is still going to call Mark Lloyd, because Mark Lloyd is the project manager, and say, we had this discussion with the landowner. What does the county think about this offer or this proposal and stuff? So.
Well, welcome to our world.
We can't, we've already got money coming for 2. We can't
Yeah,
not
I
do
mean, this
this.
project's gotta move forward.
It really is. If we had I think the work,
Make a motion.
I'll second it. Of course, what's the motion?
The motion is to engage KLJ.
Nothing like seconding it when you don't.
approve the contract amendments.
Yes. No, that's.
You agree?
Yes.
Yeah.
Just for clarification, it's not to exceed, right?
It's not to exceed.
Yeah, yes, we can, we will do that. We will manage that budget, and we will take on more work if we need to get stuff done and not use a consultant.
Do you have any say in the person that's gonna do this? Cause that could make a big difference if you're type A or
yeah.
type B person.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Okay.
They're working for us when we
Yeah.
approve this,
'Cause, I
so
mean, you can have a
if somebody is, we think we think they might be doing a job, and we hear feedback, nope. We'll tell them, get that off the job, get us somebody different.
Okay, all right. All right, so you heard the motion and the second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Thank you. That's a lot to absorb. Appreciate the time.
Our frustration isn't with you, it's with.
No, it's the process again.
it's us versus the problems out there, so.
We'll move to, do you have any committee of the holes?
Just one, sir. September 18th, 7:30 PM, St. George Town Hall, Township Officers Association Fall Meeting. September 18th, 7:30, St. George Town Hall. You are invited.
That's a BCAT meeting?
The Township Officers Association Fall Meeting. Yep.
Okay.
It's a fall annual, the twice yearly annual meeting.
Yep.
Motion to approve the committees of the whole.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded to approve committees of the whole. Any other?
It's the last one of the year.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. We're adjourned at 12:25.
Kind of funny, Commissioner Heinen.
I'm already gonna have her a half hour late, I should just have her cancel.
You good? Yeah, but it's your mom's back.
I know. Well, the one time I completely don't look at my towel.